Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Chris McGill and Josh Johnson. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
What's up, Josh?
Yo,
What's up, YouTube?
what's up?
Let some people get in here. Say hello to some people in the chat. What's up, guys? Yep, it's Crossover Friday. File in.
File in?
Take your seats.
While the teacher cracks the beer. Oh, we're back. Made a comeback. I don't know why I subject myself to that. The way that they've treated me.
Just suckers for abuse over here.
Pippen and Jordan. That means one of us has to be Pippen. That's offensive, sir.
No, it does not mean that. It just means this is the greatest duo since. It doesn't mean that one is Pippen and one is Jordan. It's just that was a great duo and this is a great duo. That's it.
Let's give a shout out to Nick for that video. That was incredible.
That was pretty sharp, wasn't it?
It was. We need to post that everywhere. That needs to be a post.
Let me see if I can show that.
It's very good.
As the people take their seats.
It was so good. I was like, hey, that's me. I'm famous. Look at that. Look, Mom.
Oh, it's not. Why is. Oh, maybe I need to refresh this page. Are you watching the Lakers Clippers?
Nope. Shut up. Nope. They suck. Suns are down double digits. Lakers are getting rolled.
No, not by the Clippers.
They're down by 16 to the Clippers. And the Suns are down by 13 to the Pelicans.
Well, that's because the Suns, we can now confidently say, just lost their best player.
Yeah. Devin Booker's not the point guard. They're also missing their backup point guard and their third string point guard.
Oh, that hurts. Okay, here's what we were talking about, guys, as we get ready to get going here. Right? This is it, right?
Mm-hmm. We just...
I mean, come on. That's sick. Starring you, the chat. Let's go. Great job, Stiff Arm Wax. I had somebody DM me, our buddy Josh Adams, and say, man, I need my own Stiff Arm Wax. Who doesn't?
Find you somebody who makes videos like Stiff Arm Wax.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt one bit. Stiff Arm Wax is behind all of the social media posts that you guys see from Card Ladder and all the video production on our YouTube channel. So, huge shout out to him. All right, let's go, man. We're a couple minutes into this thing. Welcome to the Crossover. Today's Friday, February 25th. The shortest month of the year is almost over. And as is tradition, we start our show with announcements and mail days in the opposite order that I just read them in. So how about mail days? Do you have any mail days?
I don't buy cards anymore. I just show cards that I've recycled from previous ones, so deal with it. I did buy a card, but I already sent it to PSA, so I don't have it. But this week I grabbed this and just thought it was a cool card to show for tonight. These are numbered to 50. This year did not have a gold refractor, so this is the equivalent in my opinion since it's numbered to 50 and sick looking card, sweet action shot. I don't buy cards anymore, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's okay to enjoy the ones we already have. But I have been buying cards. None quite on the level of the one you just showed. But let's go.
Whoa. Why not? You're just all over the
Somebody
place
needs to
now.
stop
I think someone send help to Chris. This is getting out.
Someone needs to stop me. Someone needs to intervene. Okay, it spun out for a second. All right, yep, someone needs to stop me. James Harden, perfect day for Harden to join the collection, as he just had a great game tonight in his first game for the 76ers, and they beat up on the Timberwolves. So shout out James Harden, shout out 2018 Prism. All right, next one up is Cooper Kupp, 2017 National Treasures Hollow Gold out of 10, number 7 of 10. Next one up is a 2019 Prism Gold Nikola Jokic. Second one of those. This is a card that Christina got, but we'll show it here anyway. 2020 Prism Flashback Mojo out of 25. Luka, PSA 10. And last, but certainly not least, 2018 Panini Honors Christian McCaffrey Recollection Collection 1 of 1, which is it's autographed. This is not a rookie card. This is a second-year product from called Panini Honors, and it's probably the closest I'll ever get to owning the true 1 of 1. So lots of mail days this week. Had fun.
You squint really hard. You squint. You got it. You just gotta pretend and squint.
Well, here, look at this. Like, this is like the main reason why I'm. This is the thing that pushed me over the top to get that card, is how it looks in my card ladder collection. Because like when I'm looking at my card ladder showcase collection, like, and that card just appears in it, it fits. It looks like it really just looks like I have it. So when I look at that, I'm just like, oh yeah, now this thing's really starting to feel complete.
You can lie to yourself?
I can lie to myself. So that the card ladder showcase feature pushed me over the top to get that card.
I saw a funny stat about the James Harden thing. He now has tied Ben Simmons for Philadelphia 76ers all-time three-point list. Congrats, James Harden. Took him one game, and he did it. He's already climbing the leaderboard in Philadelphia 76ers history.
Wow. So how many threes is that? What, like
2?
2?
I think it's 2, yeah.
All right, Christina, do you have any mail days to show off? You know, there were 5 questions.
Five threes. 5 threes,
okay. There were 5 questions directed at Christina in the comments.
Why do you have to act so surprised? Like, people want to hear from Christina. That's so funny.
No one has ever, like Josh will get a handful every week. I might get 1 or 2. They're like specifically like, what does Josh think about this? But 5 for Christina, and they're...
Christina got a little snarky this week, so people were enjoying it.
Okay, well, do you have mail days or not?
I do not.
Okay, all right.
It was my mail day.
All right, so let's...
Well, actually, I do. Here, this one.
Oh, all right. A Maxi Kleber rookie, Zebra from Select, PSA 10. Mail day for Christina. Well done, Christina.
Thank you.
All right. The chat says, wow, Maxi Kleber is sucking tonight. On offense, he certainly is. All right. So, announcements. This is what's up next before we get to the questions, which were amazing this week. Such good questions. We have some huge announcements, and this is not the last you're going to hear of them, but we're going to start really trying to spread the word about this. We'd appreciate it if you guys could help us spread the word about this. Card Ladder 2.0. That's what we're calling this. Card Ladder 2.0. It's version 2.0 of the app, and this was released exactly 20 months.
20, yeah.
Exactly 20 months after Card Ladder 1.0 launched. So, Josh, tell us, February 23rd was the launch of Card Ladder 2.0. Been well received so far. What is Card Ladder 2.0, Josh? What are all the things that we've changed here?
Well, it's a lot. The focus for us has shifted away from like the concept of adding all these cards to our database, and now it's shifted towards, we basically have every card. Now it's a matter of verifying more. and making our indexes stronger and better to make our estimations and more accurate and better over time. So we're going to really lean into all the sales that we do have and start to curate them and vet them and continue to do the processes that you guys are doing. We're going to add the researchers. We're going to keep going down that path. We just want to start shifting focus on the features and the product towards helping you add your cards to your collection and getting tracking on the estimated values much faster and much easier and for a lot more cards. So as I said the other day, the race to add infinity cards is over, and we've won that race. And now it's the race to verify more cards, and we have a massive head start on that.
Yeah, we sure do. And just like buy verified, or were you going to say that? All right, come say it. Come say it. This is important. This is worth giving the camera some face time.
Well, I was just trying to clean some cards over here. So by verified, what that means is it's been looked at, the data is accurate, and it's been approved by a person. We don't have these like sales and like it's not fake. It's not all automated. Like this is actually verified cards and sales. Some people have a little issue with that word this week. So
yeah, so just to reiterate what Christina's saying, when we say a card is verified, that doesn't mean it's in our system or it's in our database. We have over 3 million cards now that are in our system and in our database with sales history. What verified means is that a researcher has reconstructed that card's all-time sales history, and that all future sales as well as all past sales have been individually vetted, so that if there's something suspicious, such as a shilled auction or a sham sale, and evidence points to that being the case, then we don't display that data point in front of our users on the main graph. Instead, it's in a separate folder. So that's what we mean by that. Okay, so sorry, Josh, for that interruption. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, I spent about 2 hours writing these little pieces, so I want to, and I'm struggling to like find the perfect word, so I'm just going to have you guys read these, because this is like 2 hours of my thought put into this of how we are sort of organizing ourselves now. And it's about, first the database, the 30 million sales from all these different platforms, all these grading companies, and the personally vetted 2 million plus sales that you guys are talking about. It's over 2 million sales that have been vetted. It's like 2.4 million. It's a lot that we've vetted. And that's like 20 months of blood, sweat, and tears. Then the next piece is the analytics side, which Chris and myself have developed, and we've put into code, and we've, made this awesome thing for you guys to be able to estimate the value of your own cards. So using the database, using the total market indexes that we've created, using players, characters, and now I have a new surprise for tonight. There's more. Search millions of cards. We don't even know the total number of cards because it's impossible to find the 30 million sales, which ones are unique, but there's definitely millions of cards. I would probably say it's like 3+, maybe more. And then going forward, like Chris said, we vet all the sales and it's updated daily. So you're going to get the estimated value currently, and then it's going to keep continuing going on. We're still maintaining this every day. You guys are still vetting sales every night, thousands of sales. And all that data is published to our site, to our dashboard. You can keep up to date with it every single day. We are not hiding any of that stuff. That's it on the marketing side, the explanation, the verbiage. I hope it makes sense. I kind of want to show some features. Are we ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so first, the thing to notice is that we reordered the nav menus, and we're focusing again more on the sales history, the sales. So now when you come into sales, and I was actually buying a card tonight, and I would just use sales history. So instead of like searching to see if the one card we don't have this Pokemon card, I found dozens of sales. I found like 5 sales of this in the last 2 days. Found the comp, felt good about it. We've got the price here. We've got the index mapped. We've got the predicted price. It's all there. The other thing is that on the sales history, we now have the green checks. So we're leaning into the verification process once again. If the sale is associated with a card that has been verified by our team, that means the sale has been verified, therefore we can link it to the actual card in the ladder. So you'll see the green check here, you'll see the ladder card. Done. And then most popular feature we've added in a long time, adding to the collection from sales history. This has been beefed up. So if I add to my collection from a verified sale, It's going to add the ladder card basically and have all the details filled out for you. It's going to have the purchase price filled out for you, the purchase date based on that sales history. You can add it to your card. Easy. That's the easiest path. Next is if there's a card that we do not have verified, like this one, you can still add it. And then what it's going to do is ask you to fill out a couple of details, pull the image, do some magic, and then you're going to 2005. Jump to get it going. Purchase price. And then it's going to automatically add it to your collection. It's going to give you an estimated value right off the bat. It's going to automatically link it to LeBron's index. It's going to set up your purchase price that you have. It's going to use the sales history to set the value going forward. Like, it's doing all this magic behind the scenes. So that's all there. Sales history. You can basically add any card to your collection now. And then also from the collection, this is the other thing that we changed. So if you're like adding a card from your collection, you do a search LeBron James Gold Refractor. We let you search all the cards that have been verified, but from here you can now search all the sales history. So you're able to add to your collection literally from any card, all 30 million plus sales, 5 million cards, whatever. We should come up with a number, but I think it's 3 to 5 million. There you go. I think that covers it. I don't want to spend too much more time. There's a lot to it. I would just say, like, dig in, start adding stuff to your collection, see how much faster it is. Like, there's much less steps involved on that front. Oh, let me show here, I want to show this. I want to show this example. I did this earlier today for Chris. Okay, so there's a player that we do not have even their player index. We haven't verified any cards of this player. Alvin Adams, PSA 10, 1986, because we've been talking about high-grade vintage cards of like the non-GOATs. Look at this price. $18,000. Okay, so we don't have any information on this card, but let's say you bought this thing and you want to add it to your collection. And then we ask you to fill some stuff out. It pre-fills out most of it because it pulls it from the slab. And let's say you bought yours for $10K instead of $18K and you bought it like a year ago. So let's put in your own custom purchase price, adding it to your collection. But we're still going to say the value is $18,600 because that's the most recent comp. That's the comp that you found. Add it to your collection. You can set your own purchase price, but here's the estimated value. Watch this now. So it's setting the index automatically to you, map for the same thing as it was on the sales history. Yeah, I know. I'm like rambling and I'm having a hard time explaining it all. So the index is mapped to the high-end index, but let's say you want to get super custom. You go to estimate value. We've got these fancy new options. You click advanced. So we've got the high-end. We've got that comp that we found in the sales history. But let's say you want to switch it to another index. You can use any index now. You can use player indexes. So if we don't have the player, well, then you can go to basketball. And you can see what the value would be if you comp it to the basketball index. Or let's say you want to comp it to the mid-end index because you don't believe this is a high-end card. Well, you can comp it to the mid-end index. And you can do this for any card. So you can now comp the value of your card to any index, to any sale, completely 100% customizable. You can now basically set up estimated values on any card against any other card or however you want to do it. It's totally in your hands. The sales history really is like a good launching point for you to find comps, add them to your collection, start tracking the value, get estimated values every day. There's nothing left for us to do on this front, Chris. I've showed it all. We've given all the paths. We've given all of our data. We've given all of our advice, tools. This is kind of like the checkmate move, in my opinion, in terms of, how you estimate the value of your collection. And, we've obviously had people waiting for us to add every card before they add their PC. And now it's literally there's nothing left stopping you. It's fast. It estimates accurately. There's a million methods to do it. You can do it however you want to do it. You can use all of our indexes. And not only that, it's just going to keep getting better. Those indexes are going to get stronger. We're going to build up more player indexes. The data is going to get, more robust. We're going to have more cards in sales history. We have all the auction houses. We're not going to miss anything. The race is over, I'm done. My voice is going to start hurting here.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thanks for that walkthrough, man. I don't know if you guys can tell, but we're kind of passionate about card ladder. So, all right. Thanks for going 100 strong with us to do a walkthrough of a software product that's 11 o'clock Eastern time on a Friday night. This is a very special audience here.
Looking at Alvin Adams cards.
Looking at Alvin Adams cards. All right, let's go. Should we get to questions now? Are there any other announcements that we should be making?
I don't think so. I would say just try the product, sign up, free trial. The originators of the 7-day free trial, we were the first to do that.
We've always had a 7-day free trial, literally since the day we launched, because it's very important to us that you all have the opportunity to test all of our features before you ever pay a penny. And that is something that we've been adamant about because we know our product is amazing and we just want you to give us 7 days for you to see how amazing and revolutionary it is to your hobby experience. Whether you're a collector, investor, flipper, it doesn't matter. All of the data is accurate and transparent and it's everything you could need. And it's verified. Like, actually verified.
Right on. HB says rant number 1. Okay, go ahead.
This is the most recent PW, for those that are saying like, oh, I bet you they just don't verify a lot of cards now. This is the most recent PWCC Premier auction. Basically, like every card that they sold, we have in our system verified, even the high-end insane ones. Like they're all, I was like struggling to find one we haven't verified. So as these like big auctions come through, Chris and team are paying attention to that and they're like adding those, verifying those to the system. And so like the value you get when adding something like this to your collection is just so high end. And you can like start reviewing all-time sales history right here in the sales history. You're getting like, oh, here's all the comps for that one card, and I'm still browsing like, millions of sales. So that whole system is starting to like really mesh together now.
Beautiful. All right. Questions for the I guess yeah. All right, let's move on. We're about 25 minutes into the show. Let's get into these. Let's get into some of these. I love to see the chat is so fired up about this though. But let's get into some of these questions for today's show. There are a few card ladder questions that come as well throughout. So we're not done talking about card ladder. But we've got other things to talk about as well. So mostly 90s basketball cards says, what did you think of the NBA 75 event? It was cool seeing so many all-time greats interact with each other. MJ with LeBron and Luka was fun. And I also enjoyed the footage of MJ in the locker room saying he thinks Mosaic Jam Masters pink fluorescent parallels are the new precious metal gems. Yeah, that last part didn't happen. But what about the rest? What do you think about the NBA 75 event?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, what have we been talking about the last couple of months? We've been talking about how the content game needs to step up and the focus should be on the players and on the history and the stories. And it's served on a silver platter for them here with the 75. But, like, you start bringing back these older players, you start telling their stories of how they got in this top 75, and the content is just flowing, and the stories are amazing. The Jordan stuff was my favorite just because, like, he obviously has this, like, massive aura around him, and we don't get to see him very often. So when he, like, walked out last and he, like, stood in the middle thinking, like, oh, this is just where I go, I just, like, thought all of that was very, like, organic and fun, and the interaction between LeBron and MJ was great. I think LeBron said, like, they don't speak very often, if ever, so to see those guys talking was great.
Yep, agreed. Lots of, like, awkward, funny little moments of all those guys interacting with each other, and Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas and Dennis Rodman and all these other guys just kind of being all together in the same room at the same time. Guys getting autographs of other guys and stuff. All right, Frank32 said, what was your favorite moment from the All-Star Weekend?
LeBron hitting the game winner.
Easy one there.
My favorite moment was when Luka and Jokic were teasing each other throughout the entire weekend. Like, Luka was doing a presser and he was on stage, and Jokic threw a bouncy ball at him and then walked away. And Luka asked if he could sue him. And then Jokic was like dribbling the basketball like a soccer ball, and Luka was standing there and threw his basketball at him, and then acted like he wasn't paying attention. And
Don't spoil the whole thing, man.
no, but it's just the content. If those two were on the same team all the time, would be amazing. So let's make that happen.
Got it. And my favorite moment was seeing my two PCs hug each other.
Well, Jordan sort of hugged Luka from behind. It wasn't a mutual hug.
So one of my PCs took the other one from behind.
Christopher.
All right.
It's like that meme, you know, that wrestling meme where like the one guy's coming out and then the like Undertaker's behind him. You know that meme?
Yeah. That happened. Okay. Card Collecting 82 says, at this moment, which team do you think will win the title this year? Okay, so he wants us to call our shot. With all the interesting deadline trades and various injuries, it feels pretty open. He thinks the Bucks are slipping under the radar a little bit. So call your shot, man, as we have about 22 or 23 games left.
Well, before the Chris Paul injury, I would have just been more confident in calling the Suns, and like, you know, I've shied away from picking my own team, and it, you know, didn't work with the Cardinals, so I kind of just like want to go for it and pick the Suns because I thought they looked the best. The Chris Paul injury hurts. I know that, like, you know, the silver lining is that he's going to get rest and stuff, but I feel like the continuity they had rolling is going to suffer, and they got blown out by the freaking Pelicans. So, the Bucks is a good one, man. I mean, someone's got to beat the Bucks. Giannis is the best player in the world still, in my opinion. He's the reigning Finals MVP, and they haven't really turned it up all the way yet. We haven't seen their full team. Lopez is still out. The Bucks are the team to beat, in my opinion. I'll take the Suns. Fuck it. Chris Paul will come back. He'll be
back before the play-in even. Well, it's 7 weeks from now is when the play-in begins, and Suns obviously aren't going to be in the play-in, and his timeline for reevaluation is 6 to 8 weeks. Do we know anything more about his return?
I also saw like 4 to 6 weeks. Like the 6 to 8 weeks is more, you know, very conservative, and Chris Paul's like, you know, pretty healthy guy. Oh, he's used to going through rehab, so I think, I don't know, but he's old, so I would expect that he's going to just be back when the playoffs start. That's just my expectation.
Yeah. All right. I will go with a homer pick as well. I will take the Bulls. I think the Bulls can get it done with the way DeMar DeRozan is playing. Plus, you have one of the top centers in the league in Nikola Vucevic. Plus, you have one of the top shooting guards in the league, Zach LaVine. And they've been playing really well without Caruso, without Lonzo Ball, and without Patrick Williams, their outstanding second-year player. So and then they've got this new guy, Ayo, is coming on really strong. They've got depth. They're well coached. They're the number one team in the East right now. They're tied with the Heat to be the number one team. Shout out Kevin and Jordan, Fat Snacks. So, but I'm just, dude, because you know what? I was looking at the standings, right? Like, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, shit, I actually have to pick somebody too. And I'm looking at the standings. I'm like, who do I pick here? Do I pick this? I mean, like, who am I going to take from these conferences? Like, you already took the Suns, who I think have to be the favorite right now, if healthy. I just was like looking through this, and I was just like, you know what? Why not? They're the number one team in the East. They're tied for number one, and they're missing 3 of their top 7 players.
I mean, it feels like it's wide open. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like any of the top 4 to 5 seeds from either conference win. It just feels really wide open, and so because it's like so even and there's so much parity, we might as well just pick our favorite teams. Fuck it.
Well, I know especially because each of our hometown teams are number one in the standings. Yeah, so,
we're good. We're not.
Right. All right. South Park Cards 2 says, which play-in team has the best chance to upset a playoff team? So right now, the play-in teams in the East are the Raptors, Nets, Hornets, and Hawks. Damn the Hawks. And in the West, the play-in teams are the Wolves, Clippers, Lakers, and Blazers. So which one of those teams do you think has the best chance of upsetting a playoff team?
I mean, the Lakers have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and it's like I don't need to get much more clever than that, to be honest.
Yep.
Are the Nets close to a play-in team here?
The Nets are a play-in team right now.
Oh my God! I mean, dude, the Nets and the Lakers were Vegas favorites to come out of each conference at the beginning of the year, and Lakers favored to win the championship. So, it didn't neither team really changed that many players. The Nets obviously traded Harden, but those are two teams that have big injuries right now, and they're loaded at the top. So,
yeah. So I will say that the Atlanta Hawks are my pick. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and somehow they're the 10th seed, which is hilarious. But I think they've got a good chance, and I think the Timberwolves are a frisky, good team who just beat Memphis last night. And I think the Timberwolves might be a scary team for a playoff team to face.
Wouldn't the Hawks play the Bulls?
Yeah, I guess they would I think the Hawks. Could they get to the 7th seed, or is the best they can do the 8th seed?
Either way, it's if the Bulls get the 1 seed,
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. Well. Okay, so I've hedged my bet, right?
Your picks are not lining up here, sir.
No. I'm doing the Vegas Dave, where I cover all my bases, and then I'm always right. I'll be right at least half the time. Okay. Grant's Card Room says, which 10 current NBA players not on the top 75 could you see making the top 100 when that list comes out in 25 years?
You rattle off a bunch. I liked your list when we went to Rob, the sports card therapist. You rattled off a bunch of names.
Yeah. So, some of the players am I frozen? Are you there? Oh, sorry. You're just flipping your screen around. Okay. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
One, and B, these guys are basically, I don't want to call them shoo-ins yet, but there's another guy. There's another one. This is 3. I think this is the other one you named that I liked. Tatum, pretty solid chance. There's a good one too, I think. It's pretty solid chance. Dude, Booker's playing really, really, really good this year. So no. I don't know about that one. There's a good one. You called this one too, right? Butler?
Yeah, I like that one.
Any others? Oh, there's one. John Morant. I think Trae Young's got a pretty good chance. Donovan Mitchell, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, dude. But the difference between Ja Morant and a Jason Tatum is huge. Even though those guys are only a few draft classes apart, Tatum is decorated. He's been to 2 Eastern Conference Finals. He's been to a bunch of All Stars. He's got a lot going for him in terms of his awards cabinet. Or a guy the difference between a guy like Jokic and a guy like Morant is multiple All-NBA teams and MVP, so on and so forth. Morant is having 1 year. He's had 3 or 4 months where that have given him merits to be considered for All-NBA. He's that's it. So I'm not going to say Morant yet. Morant needs to do it for longer. He needs to get 2, 3, 4 years of All-NBA caliber play under his belt before, I'm going to put him in the same list as Embiid or Jokic or anybody who's got multiple All-NBA teams. Tatum. That's the other thing about Tatum, too, is dude, Tatum has been to 2 Eastern Conference championships. Tatum has played 50 playoff games. And the Celtics are right now the number 2 defense in the NBA. And since the new year, I think they have the best net rating in the NBA. So, people sleep on Tatum a little bit for my liking.
We almost made it a whole week without you talking bad about John Morant, but we tried.
No, Morant's great, but just not great by comparison to the people who he's frequently mentioned alongside.
Another name in the chat was Klay Thompson. People feel he should have been in this 75.
Oh, can I throw out a name that piqued my interest? A 2-time NBA champion, a 3-time assists leader, a 1-time steals leader, all-NBA player, 4-time All-Star, named Rajon Rondo. Can I shout out Rajon Rondo as a possible top 100 guy when it's all said and done? Career averages of like 11, 10, and 5 or something. Like nothing crazy, but man, that guy contributes to winning. And I like that guy.
Dwight Howard should have been in the top 75. I know his narrative is really negative, but he was like a dominant player for a long time. Multiple-time rebounding champion, block champion, defensive player of the year. He's got massive stats.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili as well.
I think people were mad about the Damian Lillard over Tony Parker. I saw a lot of that. One other thing that I noticed, you made a really compelling argument for how to crack the top 20 by winning a championship and being the best player on the team and having a really long, durable career. I want to give some love to Isaiah Thomas. He won 2 championships in the middle of all those dynasties where there was Bird, Magic, MJ. He was the best player on the team, and he's below John Stockton, who has 0 championships and is just pure stats. Isaiah Thomas, better than John Stockton, should be much higher. You said that you cracked the top 20 if you win 1 championship as the best player. He's got 2 in the middle of mega dynasties.
Who should be higher, Giannis or Isaiah Thomas?
I'd say Giannis in that one. Just because I'm sort of baking in the fact that he's only 26, 27, and he's probably going to eventually pass him anyways. But if Giannis stopped playing today, I'd say Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Giannis was a little too high. Giannis was 1 spot behind Dirk. Dude, I know that Giannis and Dirk both won a championship. Who did Giannis beat to get to his championship? He beat Kevin Durant in the Nets, but that team was greatly diminished by injuries. He beat Trae Young in the Hawks, but Trae Young had to miss 3 games in order for the Bucks to squeak that one out. They beat a pretty soft Miami team in the first round, and then they beat the Suns after going down 0-2, which is pretty impressive. All right,
with a 50 burger.
Here's who Dirk Nowitzki beat when he won his championship. He beat Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook, that Oklahoma City Thunder team, with Kevin Durant on the precipice of becoming MVP caliber Kevin Durant. He beat those guys in a series where Dirk was the only all-star, the only even remotely all-star caliber player on that team. He beat Kobe Bryant and the Lakers in that playoff series. And then he, of course, beat the Heatles, LeBron, Bosh, and Wade in the finals. So that Dirk's championship is so much more superior to Giannis's that it's slightly offensive to the basketball fan in me to the sort of implications. Oh, they both have a title, so they're both kind of next to each other. No, Dirk's title and the people and the teams that he beat to get that title is 5 times better than who Giannis beat to get his. But with that said, when history is all said and done, it's all about who has titles and who doesn't. And Giannis getting that title plus 2 MVPs, that put Giannis, that put him in the top 20 all time. So in this season too, there's going to be a new top 50 player crowned potentially. If the Suns win, Devin Booker is looking like a top 50 player. If the Grizzlies win, dude, John Morant's looking like a top 50 player all time. If the Celtics win, Jason Tatum, top 50. If the Bucks win again, dude, then Giannis passes Dirk and he becomes top 15. There's so many interesting narratives that can be written this year because it's so wide open. It's a pretty exciting time to be a fan of this sport. So, all right. End rants. Do you want to reply to that one?
Did you have any? I wanted to hear your Isaiah Thomas reaction.
Man, I was too young when Isaiah was active, and I'm not real knowledgeable about his career and what he accomplished. But what you said's pretty compelling to me.
He averaged 9.3 assists too. I like John Stockton, but he just didn't win any championships. I'd rather just give it to the guy who won 2. If we're gonna do that.
Yeah, Fair enough. I have a hard time disagreeing with that. I guess it kind of comes down to, like, I put a poll on Instagram the other day. I was like, what's more important? Is it for you as a player collector? Is it championships or is it MVPs? I wonder if you have a take on that.
Well, I mean, the caveat there is like how important are they to the championship? You know, it's like Robert Ory versus Charles Barkley. Obviously, I'd rather have Barkley, but if it's Barkley versus trying to think of a good champion that hasn't won, Isaiah Thomas, I don't think he's won an MVP. So, like, I don't know. I'd probably say, or like Kawhi Leonard. Would you rather have Kawhi Leonard or Charles Barkley as a PC guy? Someone like Kawhi's won the championships. He's got the Finals MVPs. Amazing player, but he's not going to win an MVP. He just doesn't play enough games. Like, MVP isn't his focus. Barkley has an MVP. Obviously, no championships. I'd probably say the MVP thing. I don't know. I feel like the MVP is like really hard to win. It's really, really hard to win an MVP.
Yeah, winning an MVP means, you know, ostensibly that you were the best player in your sport in the world for a year.
Yeah.
But,
okay, Steve Nash is another one. 2 MVPs, no titles. Or Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas or Steve Nash. Who would you rather collect?
I'm not a huge fan of either player. I guess those titles, man, they do seem to carry a lot of cachet, don't they?
They do. I mean, the narrative around titles is very, very strong. It's very like, it's like a pull, right? Like, you just want to buy into that hype and just buy the guy who's won the championship.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And there's also like why, like, the titles like are so compelling too, because of how fandom works. Like, if your player wins the MVP, that's like a very big, long arcing award. It happened over the course of a season. There was highs and lows. And, you know, then the MVP comes out and it's just voted on and then it's announced later. There's no real, like, crescendo of emotion when an MVP is won. But there is a huge onslaught of happiness and, you know, triumph when your team wins a championship. You don't forget that moment. You'll forget the moment, when Jokic was announced the MVP. That's a forgettable moment. But when your team wins the championship, yeah, that's
But do people celebrate Fred VanVleet winning a championship a few years ago? At that time, he was like their third or fourth best player. Now he's their best player.
Yep.
Do people celebrate Fred VanVleet winning the championship?
No, not people here in Rockford do, but not many outside of his hometown, I would say.
Just a really hard question. There's so many caveats, and it's just like so many, like, you know, you can play the extremes of Robert Ory and Steve Kerr versus, you know, Nash and Barkley and, you know, these MVPs that are top end guys that never won. Obviously, you'd rather, like, obviously one player is far superior, but they just don't have championships. So,
yeah, you know, I want, like, my brain says MVP should be way more important, but
yeah, me too.
My heart says championship is the real thing that it's more special. It's more important to collecting wise. So,
yeah, agreed.
All right, Cards and Candy 911 says, what team does Josh want to see LeBron James end his career with?
Oh, I mean, I get to pick any team?
Yep, any team.
The Suns?
It's just so silly to see. Obviously, I would love that because I would just buy season tickets. I don't know, the Cavs would make for a pretty decent story.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy it. I think the Cavs is a good answer. Like, that fan base is really strong and loyal. I'm not sure the Cavs want him at this point. Like, they're so good that, you know, like when you bring in LeBron, he just like trades your young guys and gets vets and sort of. I'm not sure you really want that for the Cavs, but that would be a good story.
I like it. All right. Stacking Slabs says WrestleMania is right around the corner.
God.
I saw this one.
Yeah.
This question meant absolutely nothing to me.
I'll try my best, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. He says, let's replace professional wrestlers with hobby participants. Give me 4 baby faces. Give me 4 heels. eyeballs. What are the matches? What is the main event? Who wins? You are the promoter. Consider eyeballs when booking. Thank you.
So the important thing here for you, Chris, to understand is that, I mean, you obviously understand babyface is good guy and heel is bad guy. The important thing about wrestling is it's all about like the storylines of like the characters and like their arc through the series, through the episodes and this whatever the events. And like some guys go from heel and they turn into baby faces because like the crowd sort of like builds them into that, like the character evolves. So like I'm not sure how that really applies to the hobby. Like there's not too much, but I want to be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, all right.
And you're The Rock, and I am really struggling to find other ones because those two guys are like.
Those two didn't get along when they first launched, though. You know that, right?
I don't know anything about this.
Like back when we were kids.
What do you know about this?
Because my friends used to watch wrestling, and so did my cousins. So
her friends.
Shut up. My cousins. It was all my cousins. So like Stone Cold Steve Austin was on the antithesis of The Rock.
Okay, well, thank you for that contribution.
Well, I'm saying like you and Josh can't be enemies.
Okay, so Christina is shooting down Josh's idea.
I think that you guys would be more like HBK and Triple H.
Triple H was a heel for a really long time.
Yeah, so is Chris.
Chris is not a heel. He's a babyface.
Do your work.
One of the biggest
questions that came in for you.
The biggest storyline in the history of wrestling was when Hulk Hogan went from babyface to heel. There was like a single event one night when he was wearing his yellow and red, and he like he turned it into black, and he like became heel. There's definitely cases where like a really big star can turn heel, and it becomes like an interesting story. But The Rock and Stone Cold were always babyfaces.
All right, well, sounds good to me. And any other parts of that question you want to address? Because
read the comment. Read the. I told you to read two of them. One is from 610. Justin posted something really funny. Yeah. And then Drake's PC. Drake's PC did a nice job. I can't make it any better than that.
All right, hang on. Let me round these up. So Justin 610 needs maybe somebody could donate a Luca Prism base because he said he would eat one at the National if any of us were able to answer. What did he say? He said, here's what he said. He goes, LMAO, if the crossover understands 1/4 of this question, I'll eat a Luca Prism base at the National.
Well,
so
you better bring some ketchup because I'm bringing the base.
Blabbed or raw?
Oh, no, not slabbed.
All right, now read Drake. Read Drake's. This is really. This is funny.
Drake said, "All right, we need Chris Hoge versus Cardboard Chronicles in a card ladder match. There has to be an I Quit match involving Jeff. Finally, a NFT battle royale where you try to throw other participants' phones over the top rope. The winner gets a picture of a title belt emailed to them."
Do you know what a ladder match is?
I have no idea what that is.
That's weird. They put a ladder in the middle of the ring, and you have to climb the ladder to like get the belt at the top of the belt is hung from the ceiling, and you have to fight each other to climb up the ladder to get it.
Damn, people really pay money to watch this stuff?
Dude, it's really popular. I used to watch it when I was a kid, but I stopped when I got older. But like Justin watches it, Brett watches it. I think Yamwax watches it, Drake watches it, I think. So it's pretty popular.
In the chat right now, I think we have about 25% of our chat watches it.
It's like a soap opera for men.
No, I don't. It seems like a lot of fun. I just missed it, and I'm bitter that I never got in on the professional wrestling wave.
Dude, the Stone Cold Rock era was like definitely the best era, and those two guys were like the peak of popularity in pop culture. Like those two guys were massive. So I would be honored if we could be Stone Cold and The Rock. That's why I said that.
Sounds good to me. All right. Glad that question is out of the way. Okay, Dillick Cards says, what are your thoughts on the BGS 8.5 Kobe Bryant green PMG sale for $2 million?
Man, that's an incredible sale, dude. I never would have imagined that card would ever get that high in value, but there's only 10 of them, and half of them are with, Spinatrons and Nats, where you're never going to get them. So, like, there's really conceivably like 2 to 3 copies of that available at any given time. And if you want the best Kobe card ever, that's the one.
I suppose it is. So, beautiful card, obviously. Not a rookie, right? We have some questions about PMGs, actually. We might as well just get to them now. Where does that card rank in the Kobe canon? Is that Kobe's best card?
I think so. I mean, what's Jordan's best card?
Well, a guy like me would probably take a few of those one-of-ones over a green. Like the 98-99 purple one-of-one from Ultra, or the 97-98 Showcase Legacy one-of-ones, masterpieces. Because those are cards that you just literally, they're Michael Jordan one-of-ones from playing years. And
but there's only one green PMG. There's 10 of them, but there's multiple masterpieces. There's only one green PMG.
Yeah, I still think which one is worth more, the green PMG? Which one is more impressive to own? Well, there's maybe 9 PMG greens out there. You can own those, the Jordan masterpiece one-of-ones, you'll never own those, ever. It's never going to happen. So, yeah, I'm taking the one-of-ones. There's a handful of one-of-ones from the 90s that I would put over the Jordan green PMG. In terms of non-one-of-ones, I take the green PMG.
I mean, you're going to start a riot by saying Flair Showcase one-of-ones are better than the green PMG. I'm going to warn you now. That's going to start
a ladder match, or what's that called in wrestling?
I've been offered
Am I a
Showcase. I've been offered Showcase one-of-one Penny Hardaway cards, and I'm like, meh. The green PMG, I basically fell out of my bed and begged the person to sell it to me. It's just, I would say you're in the vast minority on that one.
I don't know about that. I know the market feels that way. I don't know. Actually, don't know that the market feels that way. If the 98-99 Ultra, the purple one-of-one, if that came out and hit the market and it ran at the same time as the Jordan PMG green, I don't know which one would do better. I don't know about that.
It would be the green.
Yeah, and plus Penny Hardaway's, that's a different game than Jordan. So I don't know if that.
What about row 3 of 97-98 one-of-one versus the green PMG? You're obviously okay, you're saying the Gem Master and the purple one, those stand out a little bit more.
Yeah.
But some of these ones where there's 3 and 4 of them, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, row 0 from 97-98 is different than row 3. So I see what you're saying on that one. The PMG green is definitely worth more than the row 3 one-of-one. I think that. But
I think, yeah. I'd rather have the green PMG than the Gem Master, but the Gem Master to me stands out because it's there's not another Gem Master. There might be one from the year after, but the Flair Showcase just waters it down a little bit because there's so many. But the Gem Master one stands out quite a bit to me as the a one-of-one would rather have than the green PMG. I mean, dude, we're just, what does it matter? These are all monster, humongous cards. I think we'd be happy to have just one of any of these.
Oh my God, yeah. I know. I know where a few of those Jordan one-of-ones are. They're with Nat. I mean, and I know where a few PMG greens are. and they're all in forever homes. So it's not like any of these are ever coming available anyway. But it's a worthwhile debate to have, I think. And the more nerdy you get about it, I think like the deeper you go into a Jordan rabbit hole, maybe that kind of like I'm almost fatigued over the PMG Jordans.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But that's obvious. Like, look, the Jordan PMG green that may be. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just a really stupid take that to say it's not his best card. It's just like me having a Stephen A. Smith style take just for the sake of having one. But I don't know, man. I love the PMGs. Don't get me wrong. But if what's Jordan's best card, I don't know. Grant says in the chat that he's seen some of the masterpieces, the purples, and they're nothing nice in hand. Yeah, I've never seen one in hand. I have seen PMG greens in hand, and those are freaking stunning.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like I've seen a couple of them, and it's it's just purple font. It's really the only difference, unfortunately. Like it's blue font to purple font, whereas like obviously the green, it's like holy shit, the thing's green. It's like wow, that's really green.
Yeah, and plus just the etched hollow foil with the finish that they like. It's just stunning cards.
I feel like I'm losing like my best friend. It's when he's like, green PMG. I'm like, dude, what is happening right now?
I don't know, man. I'm just like, look, when you hear about a green PMG nonstop for 3 days in a row, you're just like,
I mean, that's a huge Kobe card, huge sale. We can move on.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about that card selling for $2 million. Much of the Kobe market has absolutely cratered since his Hall of Fame induction. It's like if I could pull up the Kobe index, Kobe's market has really struggled. And, bearing in mind that this index is inclusive of, Kobe's high-end cards. A lot of this index has 960 Kobe cards. Some of them are very valuable cards that don't sell very much, so they're static. The Kobe index was as high as 44,800 prior to his Hall of Fame induction. Today, that index is at 32,000. So that index has lost about 30% of its value. So even in the face of an overall market correction for Kobe cards that's been happening for a while, the super high-end Kobe cards, like arguably Kobe's best card, the Kobe PMG Green, those are doing record after record when they come out. And $2 million, man, what a price! What a price for a card. People are struggling with the fact that like it's not a rookie too. Like there's been some talk about this. How could a non-rookie Kobe? Yeah, what do you think about that?
It's boring. Like it's a really boring take. Like I've even heard like the more like even more lame take, even more like common person take that doesn't understand the market. It's like it's not even autographed. Like, what the hell? There's not even like a jersey on it or anything, dude. Like we've said a million times, you can go get Kobe's autograph any day of the week. They're really easy to find. You can get a jersey of him. You can get patches. You can't get green PMG Kobe's. It's really more about the collectibles and the hobby that are speaking right now. The reason it's $2 million is because people are fired up about the hobby and they want to own really sick cards that you can't get. Like these are like art. These are like high-end art pieces at this point. The stuff that you just cannot go out on the street and buy. Anyone can go buy a Kobe auto. Anyone can go buy a Kobe jersey, and anyone can buy a Kobe rookie. There's lots of Kobe rookies, and he doesn't really have like any super high-end Kobe rookies because like their serial number stuff really wasn't around yet. Just a really like boring argument.
Yeah, but it's also a little bit like frustrating or confusing, right? to somebody who's just like, wait a minute, I thought rookie cards are supposed to be the best investments for a player. And maybe that's not true. Maybe set matters quite a bit as well.
I mean, what do you think of like as a collector, just seeing this sort of like insane $1 million stuff? Like, what does that make you feel?
I love it personally. I've already come to terms with being priced out of a lot of stuff, so I'm able to think past that and just say like, man, what a bullish sign for the hobby when a gorgeous card like that sells for $2 million. Really a great sign for the hobby. And by the same token, what's the Mantle PSA 10 worth these days? Somewhere between 20 and 40.
What's my card worth?
What does that make Christina's Maxi Kleber Select Zebra PSA 10 rookie worth?
Well, I got something real good for you, Chris. There's this product called Card Ladder, and what you can do is you can now pin the value of your card to any index you want. The Kobe index, the Kobe comp on the PMG green, and a fraction of it, whatever you want to do.
I think that when the Kobe green sells, like my Maxi Kleba is directly connected to it, so I would agree with that assessment.
Your Card Ladder collection, you have the right to connect it to that card. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do it.
I think it's a 2x multiplier from the green Kobe to the Zebra Maxi.
No, the way I was going with that though is like, dude, if that's Kobe's best card, and maybe it is, and if it's worth $2 million, in BGS 85, I believe is the highest grade, and Mickey Mantle's best card is 30 million or 40 million, could that PMG green be $10 million soon? I think so. But I'm very bullish on the hobby. I would have never sold that PMG green Kobe. I would have never let that card go. But I understand that $2 million is that's an incredible sum. But I think that's my take on that is A, I love the price, but B, I think that's an early price. I think that when we've got Mantle cards in the 30 or 40 millions, maybe 2 million, got it. It's almost low. And I don't say that often. I don't often say like, "Oh, this sold for low," but to me, I was like, $2 million.
Well,
for Kobe's best card.
Last week, you really got me thinking because I've just been, I've been like transitioning into the blowout stage of my life where like everything's too expensive. This is ridiculous. Like the greed is overtaking the hobby, and I refuse to believe like that this is real. And I made the joke that like, is Elon Musk going to start collecting? Because if not, like, there's nowhere else for these prices to go. That's like the joke and the thought.
Right.
But dude, if guys are just like flinging $2 million around, like it's nothing, and they're getting Kobe's best card, there's still some room there. There's a lot of people that can afford to ingest a card like that into their portfolio and really not have that be that big of a deal. And there's probably a lot more people who like Kobe, so I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. Time will tell. Okay, JF Cards had a question related to PMGs. He said, can we get a history lesson on PMGs to help new collectors understand their importance? So what do you want to see about the importance or the history of PMGs?
Well, they started the year before that one, but they weren't numbered. They were kind of like, if you look, and they were just silver. Not shiny at all. They're just sort of like metallic looking. And then 97, 98, PMG started with, like the popularity started with the green. So they're serial number to 100. The first 10 are green. The last 90 are red. So I think it, obviously started with that year. And like the popularity of it is, based around the fact that one, the base cards look really nice. It's a really popular set. Metal Universe looked really cool. Gene Arena and the Arena team designed them, and they're really sweet cards. They stand out. It's a really fun base set to collect. And then, the interesting serial numbering of like 100 and like these little rules of, 10 green, 90 red makes it intriguing. The etched holofoil is really sick. It's the first time I ever did something like that. If you just like hold one of those cards, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just like a really unique technology on the cards. And then they're fucking red and they're green. They're like radioactive red and green. They stand out. Like you line up a bunch of cards to someone that doesn't know cards, and you say like, point out one that you like. They're like, that green one is pretty sick. You're like, yeah, because look at it. It's shiny as hell. And then they did Metal Universe Championship that year as well. And they had like the interesting design aspect there where the background was depicted of the player's city that they played in, some sort of background about the city. And they had like a really cool swirl pattern. Then they did PMGs the next year. I don't know, man. They're just like, I think also the name is really sick. Precious metal gems, like they sound like you're bringing together, obviously like precious metals and shiny things and gold, and you start thinking about all these things that are, appealing to humans and bring them to cards. It's kind of the perfect storm, man. Do you have anything to add?
Well, first of all, I love that. You and I both are aficionados of PMGs, and we own some. Obviously, most people know that. If you ever wonder what we own, go look at Showcase and Card Ladder, by the way. I look at it every day.
Nice. You said we'd be talking about the product. You did not lie.
Okay. I have a few points to add, or to enhance what you said. The 96 technically is precious metal. It's not precious metal gems. So
thank you.
The first precious metal was 96. The first precious metal gems were the greens and the reds from the Metal Universe product. There are some charlatans in this hobby who will obscure the fact that Metal Universe Championship is somehow of an equal release points, that it's tied for first with the PMG reds and greens in terms of release date. It's not.
Definitely.
The PMG Championship is the second PMG to come out. The PMG Championship is to the PMG red and green what 2013 Prism is to 2012 Prism. The PMG Championship set was supposed to be a Series 2 initially, but instead it just decided to just become its own product. And it came out in April of 98, and the Metal Universe set preceded it, the Metal Universe set that has the red and the greens. So, and then the third PMG to be issued is now called the PMG Gold. It was never called the PMG Gold, though. That, again, is a phrase that's been invented by salesmen. Instead, it's also called PMG Championship. And it came out in 98, 99, obviously. They are gorgeous. The 98, 99s are absolutely gorgeous. There was also another insert that came out in 98, 99 called the Molten Metal Fusion Titanium. It's also been incorrectly described as being called a gold. It's not a gold. It's not. It's called the Molten Metal Fusion Titanium. So just want to set the record straight on a couple of facts there that certain trusted people in this hobby have been misleading people about for years. And otherwise just celebrate the beauty of the PMGs. Every single one of them is a beautiful, stunning card. And even though that championship from 97, 98, and from 98, 99, even though those weren't the first, they are only numbered to 50, and they're freaking beautiful cards. Beautiful.
I'm a huge 90s guy, love 90s, have all the, a lot of the top Penny Hardaway 90s cards, and I absolutely cherish those cards. I love them dearly. My three favorite Penny Hardaway cards are, in order, the PMG Green, the PMG Championship from 97-98, and the PMG Championship from 98-99. Those are my top three, and it's really not that close. So, I love the PMGs, man. They're just so sick. Thank you.
God damn, that looks good.
Those cards are fucking fantastic. I don't know how, I don't need to sell you on it, do I?
No. And to Grace's point, you can see why people call this the gold, right? It looks freaking gold.
Dude, that card is... Those cards just give me the feels. I don't know what else to say. They're just... I'll never sell those three cards. They're just so sick.
Damn, they look good in those PSA slabs right next to each other, too.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of, how my collection looks in the showcase and in my Flickr and stuff. I really like, having them all sort of lined up with similar scans and all PSA and having them in the right order and labeled properly. That's my style. I like to look at them that way.
Yep, I agree. All right. Enough jacking off the 90s cards for a few minutes here.
Never enough, dude. I could talk about that stuff all day long.
All right. Drake's PC says, oh, you know what? We're on this 90s thing right now. Actually, let's just complete some of these thoughts on 90s cards. And there's a lot of people were interested. A lot of people were interested in Kobe's. Lots of interesting Kobe sales happened over the last week or two. So Corner Taken quickly wants to discuss the Kobe Sports Illustrated for Kids card. So that card in a PSA 10 has it gone off the rails? So for context, in the most recent PWCC premiere, a card graded a long time ago that sells for $50 raw, that being the Kobe SI for kids, sold for the same value as the combined value of mint copies of Kobe's 96 Legacy Collection Row Zero, 96 credentials, and an authentic autographed 03 exquisite patch auto with an auto grade of 10. In other words, you can have the SI card for kids or Kobe's 2 best rookies in mint condition and a patch auto from arguably the greatest set ever created. Hobby community, what in the world is going on? And let me pull up that SI for kids sale from Card Ladder Sales History while Josh tries to help Cornerstone quickly make sense of this.
I can't help him. That is just so ridiculous, dude. That is insane. One of the, when people ask us this question, like, what makes a card iconic? We talked about it last week. One of the main factors, I'm sure we've talked about it, but I'll hit on it again, is the manner in which the card was distributed and what sort of set it comes out of, and like the prestige around the release of the card, and like the means in which you acquire it by pulling it from a pack. These things really matter to collectors, like knowing that something was pack issued, that it was autographed, placed into a pack, something that's serial numbered inside of a pack. It comes out of the, prestigious 2003 Exquisite, which was the first box priced at $500. These things like really, really matter. And when a card comes out of a kid's magazine and you tear it out, like it just kind of loses some of that luster. Like basically anyone can just go in their basement and like, pull out an SI for Kids magazine and have that card. It loses a lot of its allure. So the fact that it's only expensive because it's a PSA 10 to me is like not really along with the collector iconicism of like things you're looking for. Help me out here. Am I crazy?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the population on this card is.
The Tiger Woods one, I saw someone in a video talking about like the Tiger Woods is like his first rookie, and it's like, dude, that was a freaking, I had 10 of those. It's a freaking like cutout out of a magazine. It's a low grade because it's a cutout out of a magazine. Like it's not because like, some crazy like printing issue or something.
Right. Also, why
Someone
is
said
it
it's a
called
top
1997?
because it came out of a magazine with a number 97 on it with a release date. I don't know. Frankie says it's a Pop 1.
Pop 1? Okay. Well, if Frankie says it, I definitely believe it. So that makes something of a difference, right? Pop 1?
Sure.
Yeah, are you a big graded scarcity guy?
Not really. I'm more of like I like having PSA 10s, but like I'm not gonna pay 100, 1,000x the price if it's a Pop 1 in that grade. I'd rather just like spend that money elsewhere.
Yeah. Pretty much same thinking here. Someone in the chat wants to know, how do you grade these edges? Fair question. How clean the perforation is, maybe? I don't know. Fair question. Look, is 90 grand, that's like chump change, right? 90 grand? In the hobby, that's guys.
Are you about to say it's undervalued here?
Undervalued! I don't know, man. I'd never even thought about this card for more than 5 seconds before this sale happened.
Right.
So that's about how important it is to me. But I don't know. $2 million for the Kobe PMG Green, 90 grand for his SI Kids PSA 10 Pop 1 rookie. What the hell? Who knows anything? I like what the question was asking. The question was saying, look, for 90 grand, you can get some really awesome Kobe cards. So let me show a couple of those cards that he was talking about. One of them that he brings up is the 2003 Exquisite Patch Auto in a PSA Authentic. I'm actually not quite sure which patch auto he's talking. Is he talking about the 1 out of 100?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
The horizontal one.
Yeah. So he's probably talking about this one.
Dude, great card.
Yeah, stunning card. Love the picture of Kobe too. That's awesome. Man, So he's saying you can get that in a PSA Authentic Auto 10 grade. You can get a 1996 Credentials Kobe in a mint copy. Man, love that card.
One of his few serial numbered cards from his rookie year. There's a rookie for you, Chris.
Yeah, freaking stunning card too. And the other one that he brought up, by the way, I'm using Card Ladder sales history to look at all these because
Are those verified?
Those actually are verified, and Card Ladder sales history has over 30 million sales in it. And then he's saying Kobe's Row Zero Legacy, you can get in a 9 grade as well. For I guess he didn't specify exactly for how much, but the point is that you can get one in this card as well. All right, another really, really pretty card. This is numbered to 150.
Yeah.
And so his
I
point
believe that's his lowest serial numbered rookie. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think the first official issue of a set that released serial numbered short printed cards in basketball systematically. So pretty special card for people who get excited about firsts of things. And you could have all three of those. You could have that SI for Kids Pop 1. That was his point.
Yeah, that's why I went down the path of talking about how releases and pack issued cards have importance to collectors, and just the fact that you could get those three amazing cards for what happens to be a Pop 1 of a silly kid's magazine cutout. I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, a couple more 90s questions. Tommy B. Card says, is the term 90s too general? I collect 96, 97 through 99, 2000, and I see it as a distinct period.
Yeah, I think that question is right, because the early 90s is basically junk wax. If someone was like, oh, I've got this great 90s collection, do you want to buy it? And you're like, well, is it late 90s or is it early 90s? Because in the early 90s, I do not want it. It's mostly junk, I'm sure. That's definitely a good point. And the other one that's overused is inserts. That's just a generic term for 90s basketball that looks shiny and different. That's not true. It's either a parallel or an insert. Inserts are specific. I don't like when people call PMGs inserts, for example.
Fair enough. I agree. I agree with that. Green Eye Sports 24 says, have you ever bought a Beckett magazine? And if so, who was on the cover of the first one that you bought?
I've bought tons of Beckett magazines. I don't remember the first one. I was 10, so I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but yeah, bought tons and tons of magazines. About 2 or 3 years ago, I bought 40 of them.
Really?
Off of eBay, which was awesome. So, I don't know, man. Talking about all this 90s and Beckett magazines and stuff does not really take you back to what it's all about.
It makes me want to, figure out a new collection for 90s and start over somehow, or I don't know, man. I feel like you need to do that. You need to purge all this Panini stuff and get some 90s in your life again. When was the last time you bought a 90s card, dude?
Maybe that Jordan Legacy a few weeks ago.
Maybe that one I bought 2 days ago. Yeah, I really like the Legacy Jordans you've been sprinkling in the last couple of years, or last year, I guess.
They're the ones that I don't feel too crazy buying, right? Some of those legacies, especially first year Jordan legacies, can still be had for high 4 figures, low 5 figures. I could think of worse things to enjoy as a 90s collector. Yeah, dude, look, God damn it. I don't want us to be perceived as being huge assholes on this SI for Kids Kobe card. So there's been some comments in the chat that were fair. So Sweat 47 says maybe the SI card for kids buyer already has all the other Kobe's and they want that one obscure Kobe. And I can relate to that because that's kind of how I feel about some of those Jordan 101s from the discussion we were having earlier. Look, there's other sides to it. We're just here to fire off opinions. They're not gospel. Plenty of people disagree with what we have to say on this stuff.
You can put that one on me. You didn't talk shit about it. I'm sitting here talking shit. People want to Say, this is my opinion on the card. You guys asked my opinion. I gave it to you.
Yeah, I just struggled to come up with a counterpoint to anything. But yeah. All right. Yeah. So that'll do it for 90s questions. I hope. Okay, let's go on to this next question. Another comment from Drake, right? Who Drake's PC says, "What characteristics of a player make you want to add him to your PC when you previously were not interested in that player?"
I mean, my initial reaction is like it's usually about the cards that they have, but if you didn't like their cards before, and that wouldn't change, obviously. So it's something about the player that they do. I mean, they start playing better, right? Like, who cares? I'm not gonna. If this player like sucked and then they all of a sudden start playing better, I mean, that's a good enough reason for me to start collecting them.
No doubt. Modest, are you the owner of that card for real?
Dude, if he's got the whole set of SI Kids, and it's like, or something like, they've got like the Pop 10 or whatever. I don't know what the Tiger Woods is. The Tiger Woods SI for Kids, this Venus Williams, and it's like the last one you need is the Kobe PSA 10. Dude, that makes total sense to me. I'm not gonna like, I'm really focused on just like the card itself. But like, if you're a set collector, you like, we're talking about these Fleer 86, 87 PSA 10s, and like, you need that card. You gotta pay. Like, you're a set collector, go get it. There's nothing I can say about that.
No doubts. No doubts. Yeah, okay, I'll answer this question about what makes you want to add a new player to your PC. Sometimes it can be incidental to set collecting, but also it can just be like, as you become nerdier about sports, you just want to appreciate players that the mainstream doesn't appreciate, but that should be appreciated. And so one of the ways you can express that is through collecting choices. And that's pretty much defined almost every PC I've started in the last 2 years, from Frank Ntilikina to Christian McCaffrey. It was like, these guys, like, these are awesome athletes. I can come up with stories about them that makes me like them a lot. Le'Veon Bell. Like, I don't know.
Harden.
James, well, I wouldn't call James Harden. The Harden's just more for
Jokic.
Prism Gold.
Jokic
is probably the best example.
Yeah.
So,
where like Jokic is clearly like, he's like getting better as a player, and he is underappreciated in the hobby. There's not many collectors. His cards are fairly cheap relative to his skill set. It's like, you almost want to like prove a point. Like, you guys don't want to buy his cards? Fuck it, I'll buy them.
Yep. And dude, like, I made a story post yesterday about Rondo. Yeah, Rondo.
People are trying to sell you Rondo cards in the chat.
Rondo. Somebody
They're like, this guy's a sucker. Let's sell him some Rondos.
The guy who had the 2013 Select Black 1/1 Le'Veon Bell, which is like a stunning card. It's one of the most beautiful cards I've ever seen. He found me. He found me, and he said, look at all these Le'Veon Bells that I have. And he started collecting Bell last year because Bell joined the Ravens, which is his favorite team. And then he was looking for a sucker, and he found one. I bought that card, so that's going to be in my mail day next week.
Christina, can you just smack him again? This guy can't even fucking protect his mail days anymore. He fucking is like, hey guys, I'm bidding on this auction. Oh, check it out.
Like, Christina won't roll over here to talk to the camera. It's a big production. But if she gets to strike me, she gets over here so fast. All right. Look, Rajon Rondo, right? Like, I made some story posts where I was just like, dude, Rajon Rondo had a card that sold 1.5 years ago for $4,000. Earlier last year, his 2012 Prism Gold in a BGS 9.5 with Golden, that sold for $4,000. Like, I was just like looking and trying to find some cool looking Rondo cards. Like, this card's probably worth about $4,000 today. And, I don't know, man. Like, why not? Why not collect Rajon Rondo cards? They have value. Rajon Rondo cards have value. That card sold for $1,000. That 19 Prism Black in PWCC about 6 or 7, 8 months ago. Dude, look, it's just like it's just a different form of appreciating these players who, as you become more and more enthralled with the sport, you get more impressed by some of the players that aren't super mainstream.
Yeah, plus like, being collectors as long as we have, I mean, it's not that long. We've been collectors 5-6 years now, and we just get bored of the same cards, and it becomes really difficult and expensive to collect the cards that do interest us in the top end guys. So if you can start collecting black 1-on-1 prisms and exquisites numbered to 3 and golds numbered to 10 of like guys that are still Hall of Fame level guys, and it's more enjoyable and cheaper and more conceivable for you to do it. That's just kind of the next path.
Yeah,
You've more so than me decided to take, but I've dabbled in it.
Yeah, no, right. And it's not, some people like it more than others. Like, how about this guy? Matisse Thybulle, right? He's 76ers wing. Some people have said he's just the better version of Frank Ntilikina. Here's a pretty beautiful emerald patch, young guy. Exciting player. This card sold for over $2,000 in November for this defensive stopper, a defensive specialist. So look, I guess like part of the point here is that like there's other people who are very interested and spend thousands of dollars on all types of players and all types of athletes, and it's neat. It's a neat niche of the hobby.
What do you say? What do you say though? Like a lot of people's counter, and I'm going to speak for those people.
Yeah.
Because you're more pure than we are. The reaction is like, well, if I do what you're saying and I buy these players, I'm going to lose money, or I'm spending this money and I don't have like infinite money to be able to just sort of like collect whatever I want. I need to think about, can I potentially resell this in the future for more money if I need to, or if like God forbid something happens, I need to liquidate and I need to get the money back that I spent on it. What do you say to that sort of thought?
Oh yeah, that's a great concern. I would say first of all, I lost $10,000 in paper value on a Michael Jordan Legacy collection over the last year. So there's no such thing as a sure thing, even if you're buying serial numbered rare cards of GOATs. But who like give me like an example of a player who has a card in the 97-98 PMG set, like just like a scrub, or not a scrub, like kind of just like a random guy who might have a few different sales of Juwan Howard. Okay.
He's been punching people recently, so I figure I'd give him some love.
All right, let me see if I can like construct
Olajuwon. Someone in the chat said Olajuwon. That's probably easier for you to find stuff. Yeah.
All right. Because what's been going on with PMG Reds lately is these cards have been on an insane trajectory price-wise. Just absolutely insane. So here's the sales history over time for the PMG Hakeem Olajuwon. All right, so this card, Hakeem's PMG Red, could have been had for $64 in 2009. It jumps to $600, and this isn't any grade, right? In 2014, a BGS 8.5 sold for $720. All right, so a Hakeem PMG Red sold for this beautiful BGS 8.5 sold for $720. The most recent sale is a PSA 6 from last summer with Golden. That's the most recent sale. It went for $6,600. It went for $6,600. And today, I'm pretty sure Olajuwon PMG Reds, I'm pretty sure those are in the 5 figures.
Okay, so what about like not high-end sets, like the PMG sets? People are set collectors. Step back and like and approach the question from like, if you're talking about McCaffrey or you're talking about Le'Veon Bell, and assume though that you're buying like their best stuff. Like assume you're buying like you're focused on the rookie stuff, one-on-one stuff. Like assume that but answer that one.
Well, there's going to be set collectors of like Prism Black and maybe Select Black. That's going to happen too. And those guys are going to have, as impressive as it is putting together like a PMG green set, dude, if somebody ever put together a Prism Black set of any sports of any year, that would be the most impressive collecting accomplishment ever in my book. Because there's literally only one of every player, and you have to track down 300 or 400 of them. There may be people who are trying to do something like that right now. So I think there will probably be ambitious set collectors, and unlike a green or a red, where another one could pop up, if you're holding a black one of one, especially like a rookie from one of those great products that potentially could have set collectors down the line, you are literally in name your own price land. So I think that there is still a set collecting aspect there. But when you're collecting players like that, you're kind of leaning into the growth of the hobby as a whole, and you're leaning into the ability to buy first-tier sets of second- and third-tier players. But, like if you're doing Prism Golds or black one-of-ones from Select or Prism or Optic or Gold Vinyls or something, like I think there's always going to be an appetite among investors and collectors alike for gorgeous cards from cool sets that are one-of-ones, just the very best version of the card. So I look, I understand the concern that, like, hey, this player really doesn't have anything suggesting that their arc or their narrative is going to, gain prestige as time goes by. I definitely get that. But there is the personal satisfaction of learning and discovering a player and sharing that with others, and sort of spreading that type of thinking, because it's intellectually rewarding. There's some protection that comes from the sets that you choose to pursue, the hobby knowledge that you exercise and exert. And you never know, man. Maybe some of these players do pick up some collectors along the way as people got to branch out.
Can I give you the financial me answer to this question?
Mm-hmm.
I think those are all great points, and something to really think about. The other angle I was thinking when I asked the question was, like, if you buy cards like this, it's very fun. You're spending money on your hobby. You're buying cards that bring you joy, but it's not a high tier guy, and there's potentially going to be some losses that you take, and this guy isn't going to the Hall of Fame. There's no documentaries coming out. This is the thought process going through some people's heads when they're buying this stuff. But also, you're not going to lose all your money. You can spend all your money on alcohol. You can spend your money on partying. You can spend your money on a car. You can spend your money on a vacation. That money's gone. Whereas cards, you buy it, you have some joy out of it, you get some excitement. Down the line, you decide to sell it, you get some of that money back. You didn't lose it all. So there's, that's a pretty simple way to think about it as well.
Yeah, how about this? If I walked up to a table at a show and a guy had 10 1986 Fleer Michael Jordans in various PSA grades, a 7, a 7.5, an 8, maybe a 9 or 2, cool. Wow, that's a lot of money sitting there on the table of maybe the most iconic basketball card ever. If the table next to him had Rajon Rondo's Prism Black from 2013, I'd be way more impressed by that second table. And I'd want to know more about the guy who had that Rondo Prism Black 1-of-1 than I want to know about the dealer who has a bunch of Jordan 86 Fleers that he's looking to flip. So there's something, I think it's more prestigious and impressive to be a collector of a niche player and have their very best cards from their best sets. Just, that's my taste. And you don't have to agree.
Impressing people in this hobby, we might joke about people trying to impress, and that's just a shallow thing, but it's a human aspect to want to impress other people and have a cool collection that you can be proud of, that other people can enjoy and ask you questions about. It further engages you in the hobby. It gives you an interesting story to tell. There's so many neat social aspects to owning, the best collection of a second and third tier player that is going to bring you more joy than just buying the cards themselves, in my opinion.
Can I just go back to this collection again? This collection sticks with me. It's just a bunch of Matthew Stafford 1-of-1s, and I just always remember this collection. It's just fucking sick. It's a sick collection. I just always remember this collection. This is a LaShawn McCoy Superfractor, right? This collection sticks with me. Versus a collection that has a Kobe Topps Chrome Refractor and some very impressive. These are the big iconic cards. I get it. It's great. But, Like, dude, this card, something like this makes me salivate. All right.
It's pretty sick, yeah.
That's just my style, There is no right answer to this. But, the financial question is an important one too. And, there's also a difference. There's a difference between going with a Le'Veon Bell or a Rajon Rondo or a James Harden, people who probably are mostly over the hump, versus a Christian McCaffrey who there's a lot of prospecting built into his prices still. And the Christian McCaffrey balloon can deflate. I could have ended up paying 3x more than what those cards are worth 10 years from now. That can happen with the McCaffrey. With a Rondo, or a Le'Veon Bell, I think the likelihood of that is smaller. There's also less upside, but the likelihood of it deflating to some extreme amount is smaller as well. So that's things even not all secondary or tertiary players are equal. Some still have prospecting built into their prices and others don't. So that's an important part of the analysis too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously think about the financial stuff pretty heavily, and there's another question coming up that you might get to that's that someone would say, I'd be okay if my cards went to zero. And it's like, really? Do you really want your cards to go to zero? Are you really okay with that? I am definitely in the camp of no, I do not want that to happen. I would be very upset. So the strategy of picking Chris Paul is very intentional, that he's basically, he's more in line with your example of Rondo. It's he's not going to go to zero. We already know what he is, basically. I'm taking much less risk, and I'm able to get stuff numbered to 3 and 5 and 10, and it's sort of the best of both worlds.
Yep, so let me read that question. JGP Collectibles says, when collectors say, I don't care if the card value drops to $0, I would still be happy. Do you believe that? I sense that other collectors, investors would lose some allure that they have for certain cards if the values were to plummet. And so you kind of addressed that question. Is there anything else you wanted to add on to that question, having heard it in that form?
I mean, I think the thought there is if the card plummeted in value, I would be excited because I could buy more. But that thought process just doesn't really ever describe the real world of how markets work. There's not a world where something really valuable and that people really want to own dramatically drops in value. I can't wait for PMG greens to crater so I can finally buy some. Everyone thinks that, and it's never going to happen because everyone would jump on it, therefore the price would never actually go down, But speaking in terms of, I want my cards to be valuable. I don't want them to lose value. And when people say I don't care if the value goes down, which is the more realistic way to say it versus it goes to zero, I don't think anyone actually wants their card value to go down. Who would want that? Of course, the values of them going up is part of the excitement of validating yourself that you know what you're buying and you're buying stuff that's going up in value. Who doesn't want that? That seems I get the sentiment behind it. The sentiment is I really love the cards and I'm buying them for what they are, and the the value of it is separated from the price that it costs and the value in the future potential value of it. But
love it. I'm on the same side of this issue as you, but I'm even stronger. For this, it's the other side of the coin of you were what do you think about this Kobe PMG green for $2 million? And I'm I love it. I personally love headlines about record-setting sales in our hobby. I think that they are the most concise, empirically driven ways that we can explain through facts rather than hyperbole or opinion or emotion, but rather through facts, what's going on in our industry. So I love record-setting price information. It really makes me excited for our hobby. And so then when you have people saying things oh, I don't care if cards go to zero, or, there's this thought process of even if it goes to zero, I'm not worried about it. First of all, that thought process originates in fear. So when somebody is hedging and saying yeah, I'm going to buy cards, and if they go to zero, oh, well, to me, that's starting a thought on the wrong foot. That's starting by trying to cover all your bases in advance, by you're comforting yourself before you even need comfort. I don't like that mentality personally. I don't enjoy that perspective, and I'm very much with you that if cards go to zero, then I have no headlines. There's the things that drive and excite me aren't there anymore. And the enthusiasm a market, as much as it's like a financial thing that impacts our well-being as, people who are invested in an asset class, markets are also scoreboards, and markets are measurements of enthusiasm, confidence, optimism, value, obviously. And so if prices go down, it's also saying that enthusiasm is going down. Perceived value of these items are going down. So, we definitely don't want to see cards go to zero. But and with that being said, I understand the perspective of, hey, look, if something drops down in value and you really love the item for what it is, which describes a lot of collectors, then you get to get the item for cheaper. And that is good. There is that approach of like, hey, a lot of us have been priced out of stuff, certainly. And if card prices go down to zero, we can get back to enjoying the hobby on a different level. That's true too. That argument resonates with me. I get that. Not upset about that. But the perspective of like, hey, if my card values go to zero, then, who cares? It's posturing. It's putting the wrong foot forward. It's not taking, it's coming from a position of fear rather than a position of confidence. That's my take on that.
I love this show, our little crossover corner of the world that we've carved for ourselves. A lot of the content that I watch, a lot of the stories that I see is very like people trying to make everything black and white. Like it's either, you're either a Democrat or you're a Republican. You're either, up in value or you're down. You're either made a great purchase or a bad. And the world isn't black and white. It's gray. And this show is like, we're going to dive into all the caveats, all the different pieces that make something unique, all the, like the phrase, it goes to zero. I mean, that's like so black and white. It's either zero or it's infinity. Like that doesn't make any sense. The gray area of that is like, sure, I would love to go down if I could buy more cards, but I don't want them to go down because I want to have my value of my collection go up. I want a scoreboard track. Like there's all these different gray area pieces to the world, and I would rather discuss that than try to make this stupid, pitch on like one side or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely do. So, good. This topic will come up again. We can have more things to say about it in the future. I'm sure every good question comes in at least 5 or 6 times. Yeah, Lamim knows a little something about being provocative. He said, he said Zion is a pretty good buy if you don't mind your cards going down.
That's one where like it's like actively going down and there's like zero chance of it going back up. Those are the ones where it's like I'll just stay away and let someone else make those purchases.
Yeah, actually, let me bring up a meme of his because like it's pretty. He made this today or yesterday, and it's
the girl crying.
Yeah. So it's pretty on point right now. So this is just like when my failed investments turn into PC, right? And just
She's like looking in a mirror like, it's fucking great, even though it's terrible.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It's great.
Yep. And so I actually hate that meme because one of the bases of that meme is this idea that like it's only PC if it's not going up in value. If it is going up in value, then it's an investment, which is not true. But I enjoy that meme quite a bit because it speaks to this whole topic of like, if my cards go to zero, then I still love them. It's a lie. It's a lie.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like I collect Penny Hardaway. He has like 0 championships, short career, injury riddled. Like things did not go as planned, but the value of his cards have gone up, and I feel great about it because I bought them much cheaper. They've gone up. I'm enjoying it. I'm vindicated and validated on something that like I thought to be true, that he's very popular, and I'm separating his like actual on-court awards versus like his popularity and like my nostalgia towards him, and I was correct. So that's fun too.
Yeah. Yep. That's why I love memes. I love hobby memes. Hobby memes just like they're very provocative. They get us thinking. I especially love when the same meme gets reposted by like 8 different accounts. That's one of my favorite things ever.
Tap here.
Yeah. All right. Cardi C Sports Card says, what makes a series of cards in your collection a player PC? What makes it a PC? What is your personal threshold for saying that you collect the player? Is it 1 card? Is it 5 cards? Is it active, ongoing pursuit of cards for that player? For context, I have 3 Ted Williams cards. I actively pursue his stuff, but it's weird to say that I PC Ted Williams when I don't even desire to have more than 10 cards of his.
This is all you, dude. I'm not going to touch this question. You're the master of this right now.
I am. Dude, you get to say who you PC. If you don't feel comfortable saying you PC Ted Williams, then don't. And if you feel comfortable saying that you PC him, then you do. I don't think there's any guidelines that govern that. If you were the person who just bought that Kobe PMG green for $2 million and that's your only Kobe, can you say you PC Kobe? I think so.
$2 million and you have 1 card. Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely can say you PC Ted Williams to answer his question. Like, dude, you're thinking about Ted Williams. You are thinking about a gold getting to 10 instead of 3. You PC him. That's just you do.
Yeah, exactly. And look, Jordan Hudson says, "Are you collecting Rondo?" No, I'm not collecting.
But you're thinking about it. You're really close.
I am not thinking about it. What is
you, dude? You bought Le'Veon Bell last week. There's no saying where this ends.
There's just something wrong with this hobby and it's not the fault of any person, but it's like, oh, if somebody's talking favorably about a card or a player, it means that they're buying them. No, not in this case. Not in this case. Instead, it means that I was trying to cleverly shill for Card Ladder and show how you can use the sales history to look up all these different Rondo cards and learn about his market.
Every time we release a new feature, I'm trying to be super clever about the stories that I build on Instagram to display it, and then I go and there's a red circle around yours, and it's oh god, he's probably beat me to it, and there's 10 very well thought out, organized stories around it, and I'm fuck, this is better than I would have done.
Well, it's easy when the product frickin' rules.
Welcome to my life, Josh.
Dude, that's why I actually think, if I may stand on a Card Ladder soapbox for a second,
please.
Opening up the possibility of being able to use something like a 30 million sales database to look up all the different Rondo cards, because maybe up until this point only 10 people or something or 100 people are actively tracking Rondo prices, and it's really hard. You wouldn't even know where to look to go get Rondo prices. If you went anywhere other than Card Ladder sales history, you couldn't see what all these Rondo cards had sold for. So the informational disadvantage was huge. And Rondo's not a player who's ever going to be added to our database in great quantity anytime soon in terms of verified profiles. But you can go to the sales history and get hundreds, thousands of Rondo card sales that you can study and understand what his market has been doing and where it's going. And to me, that's a very exciting potential, because it's going to give people more confidence to dabble into things that if I wanted to collect Rondo and I wanted to go see what his Prism Blacks sold for, because maybe that's where I wanted to start. If I punch that into eBay right now, I'm almost certain there's going to be 0 results in active listings and completed. But you could go to Card Ladder sales history and literally see any time a Rondo Black has ever sold and start digging into it. So, Card Ladder soapbox. All right. Flippity Flip Card says, what percentage of cards that are available for sale that are shared with you on Instagram would you say you are actually interested in?
1%.
1%?
Yeah.
2, 1 or 2%, maybe 3.
So
interested? If I had infinite money,
right,
that number would be higher. Is that do you want to play it that way?
Yeah, there's 2 answers. The one answer is how many times you actually buy a card or make an offer on a card that you see available, and then the other answer is how many of those cards pique your interest and you think are really cool, and that infinite money, I might buy it.
That one's 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
Freaking Lakers lost anyways. Fuck. God damn it, they suck. Clippers don't even have any fucking players.
All our teams lost.
Dude, the Lakers were up. Just whatever, dude. I'm so fucking sick of the Lakers this year. I don't even want to watch anymore.
That sucks. Why'd you have to do that, Joe? Oh, you know what? Since Joe did that, the great Joe Poirot, I actually had wrote a note down about something he said earlier. Joe said $2 million is a mansion and a yacht. And, you know, there's this idea of like, oh, $2 million for a mansion and a yacht versus $2 million for a PMG Green Kobe. Dude, I'm taking the PMG Green Kobe 10 times out of 10 before I'm taking a mansion and a yacht. What does a mansion and a yacht get you? A bunch of spare rooms? You can take some pictures for you can take some nice pictures for social media. You can clean cobwebs for 10 times longer than the rest of us do. You can pay enormous tax bills on property tax every year. You can constantly be scared about what robber is sitting in the room down the hall from you when it's 3 a.m. and you hear a.
You haven't talked about the yacht yet. The maintenance on a yacht is way worse than a home. You haven't even touched on the yacht.
You never buy the boat or the plane. You rent that shit, guys. Come on.
What does boat stand for?
Like, I was talking about, I had this conversation with a different guy on Instagram earlier, too. He was like, or, I mean, not on Instagram, on Clubhouse. He was like, dude, if I had a car that was worth X amount of dollars, I'd just sell that thing and buy a yacht, dude, and just chill. I'm like, a yacht? Like, dude, a yacht? What are you going to do with a yacht? You go out and go fishing on the ocean? Or
a yacht.
A yacht?
Fish on a yacht. You do not fish on, like, who fishes on a yacht?
So you can't even fish?
No, you just...
No, it's just, you have to have, like, gotta drink champagne and, like, have people, like, wait on you, you know?
Exactly.
Dude,
I don't want a yacht.
You pay someone to fish off the dinghy that's, like, housed in your yacht.
Oh, first time ever the word dinghy's been used on crossover.
Boat stands for bust out another 1,000 because, like, the maintenance on a boat is just, like, always a nightmare. Like, the taxes, you know, the freaking, like, something goes wrong, having to store it in the water at a, you know, dock. Like, dude, what a fucking nightmare.
Dude, a mansion or a yacht, these are symbols of excess luxury and excess wealth, surplus wealth.
Boats and hoes.
But a green piece of cardboard? Now give me that.
A green piece of cardboard is at least something that can be couched in something more highbrow. You can say this is a collectible, this is a piece of memorabilia history, this is an active market that I trade in, this is related to sports, this enhances my sports fandom. Dude, a mansion and a yacht, these are, who wants those things? Why? What? Just to, like, be the big baller here?
Can I give a better answer than the person who told you a yacht? Like, the real answer to that question is financial freedom for the rest of your life. $2 million. Would I rather have a green Kobe, or would I rather, like, not have to work for anyone else ever again? Or would I rather be able to make any decision that I want every day for the rest of my life and, you know, build new relationships with people I couldn't because I don't have the time because I have to work? That's the real answer. Like, I can build my life the way I want versus having a green Kobe.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense, right? So hopefully somebody who's spending $2 million on a PMG Green Kobe is not emptying their bank account and their retirement accounts, their investment accounts to do it, right? So theoretically, somebody who's spending that much money on a Kobe also has enough money that they have financial freedom.
And probably a yacht.
I'm just thinking about the fact that, like, we did exactly that when you were in school to buy Michael Jordan.
Yes, but that's because I'm not a person who's I personally am not too worried about working. You know, I look at work as a vocation, and I'm always gonna go find, whether it was in law or whatever the hell I do, I'm always gonna find something that really feels like a calling and that feels passionate. So to me, like, the idea of working and having, like, an obligation, it not only does it not scare me, I prefer that to the solitary, the threat of the solitary lifestyle being, like, the only, like, the only guy in my age bracket, or the only guy in my friend group who just like doesn't work, just hangs out at home. Like I don't want to be that guy. That version of me is bad version of me. I'm already a bad version of myself in this COVID era. Like I'm a much better version of myself when I'm out in the world, when I'm in class, when I'm seeing people, when I'm out doing things. That's a much, much better version of myself than the version of me that just works in a basement office all day. But, you know, anyway, not to take away from financial freedom, because that's obviously amazing. And I would never blame a single person who said, yeah, I sold a card so that I could invest that money wisely in much safer investments and live off of interest. That's
Well, the thing that
makes a lot of
sense. The part that's making this conversation interesting to me is that, like, yeah, the person who spent $2 million in the Kobe Green, obviously that person is very well off. They can absorb that. The part that's more interesting to me is the potential for someone that purchased a card like that for 10, 20 grand, and that was, you know, they could withstand a 10 to 20 grand purchase, but now that card's ballooned to 2 million and it's now 80% of their net worth. And it's like, okay, someone that like has this card at $2 million, that's 80% of their net worth. I'm not saying that's what happened for the seller, but it's possible. That's where it's like, okay, would I rather have 80% of my net worth tied up in this one card, or should I like sell it and diversify? Because this doesn't make sense for me anymore. It might make sense for another a far more rich person, but you know, the cards have brought up this scenario for a lot of people in the last few years, where it's like, I've got this $1 million card or $2 million card that I spent, you know, a fraction of, and it's just like way too much for me to take on anymore. Like, I got to sell this thing.
Yes. All right. So let me just say, dude, I've had so many unpopular opinions tonight. Let me have another one.
Just keep going. Dig your grave. Here, I'm going to send you a golden shovel.
Yeah, I'm just in a mood tonight. I don't know. All right. So how about this? There's something very romantic or sublime about if the person who bought that PMG Green Kobe literally did spend every penny on it. Like, that's, dude, to me, like, that would be very neat and impressive. I would be like, wow, this person here is cavalier and is interesting and is such a purist. Like,
and a dingus.
There's something there's something really interesting about.
Don't look over her. She doesn't agree with you.
Guys,
You're not gonna.
it's time for us to admit the winner of the Kobe Green was.
Yeah.
Don't look over at her for validation. Christina thinks you're nuts, like I do. Don't look over there.
Yes, you know how I was saying earlier that card should be like 10 million? Well, guess what?
Baller!
I convinced 80 banks to loan me $2 million.
Remember when we sold our company? I spent all that money.
I'm gonna be in a cardboard box soon. No, I love that, dude. That to me is such a cool concept of like somebody just doing something reckless and crazy, but it's driven by fanaticism for sports cards. You know, they're like, I don't think we're at that level with cards. Cards they've become so marketified. You know, they're so measured. They're so rational. But dude, that crazy passionate collector who bought a card for $100, like the Dr. Thomas Newman who bought those mantles in the in those Babe Ruths and mantles in the 90s, never sold them. Rest in peace, passed away from COVID. His family sold them for tens of millions of dollars. Like, I love stories like that. That guy never cashed out. That guy had tens of millions of dollars worth of cards that he'd been holding for 30 years, never cashed out, took them with him to death. I love that. That's the story about the hobby that fires me up. Not to take anything away from rational behavior, because I'm not that guy. I am way more rational. You know, I try to be very measured, but I
just got a text message. I'm gonna throw Grant under the bus. Grant just texted me. He said, "Chris has never sold a high-end card, has he?"
no. No, and never, do I have plans of doing it either.
This is the part of the show where I have to give the disclaimer. This is not a show where we are giving accredited financial advice.
No, we're not. Definitely not giving financial advice. How do you even give financial advice in cards? But I'll tell you this, the people...
Buy the undervalued stuff.
Yeah, but the people who did well in this hobby are not the ones who acted rationally. The ones who did well are the ones who had an irrational belief and enjoyment of cards. The rational person sells it when it goes up 20%. And as long as they keep doing that, I'll sell this card when it goes up 20%, go into that one. That person's going to make a modest profit. Well done. The guys who absolutely killed it in financial-wise are the ones who had no intention of doing so. They're the ones who just collected cards because they loved it. The industry happened to blow up, and now, because they held their cards for so long, the Bob M. Tracks of the world, who don't sell anything, who pay market value forever, and now have amassed cards worth tens of millions of dollars. Those are the people that this market has rewarded. The rational people are the big losers in this market relative to the diehard purist collector, which is the great irony of the sports card market. The people who've done the best are the ones who have an irrational passion and connection to their collections. Those are the people who've done the best.
And the guy who irrationally bought all the RG3 cards that ever existed also is now worthless.
True. Yep, I agree. There's definitely multiple sides to that. So there's something to be said about, risk reward, or look, it's not rational for any person to pursue professional sports. The odds of making it are impossible. It's much safer to become a teacher somewhere. But thank God there are those irrational people who pursue it so that greatness can be achieved. The message of irrationality will resonate with 1% of the audience. So this is my most unpopular opinion yet, but those are the people who, those are people who really are different and special. And sometimes they spectacularly fail, but once in a while they become LeBron James or, Michael Jordan. So,
or John Morant.
Or John Morant or Trae Young or any one of, these great special players.
Are you running for office, dude? I feel like you're about to announce something.
Yeah. No. Why would I run for office when I just have given opinions that literally anyone taken in combination, everybody can hate?
Well, you could run as independent libertarian party or something. Just get your 1% and be happy with that.
The Libertarian Party and its affiliation with cryptocurrencies and NFTs is not not my party.
Do we have any NFT questions? I feel like talking shit.
No. Well, no. No, we did not have any NFT.
I got some real hits that I'd like to drop on you.
Yeah. Well, I have no comments on that topic beyond what's already been offered previously.
I just want to reiterate that I'm very disappointed in people that participated or purchased that shit. But that's all I'm going to say.
All right. There you go.
What did you say in your story, though? You gave your opinion. What did you say?
Oh, my opinion?
It was a sarcastic one.
No, I just said condolences to the team, and man, it really seemed like a great idea. So that's what I had to say about this. Oh, here's a question.
A product idea is bad when you give up on it like 36 hours after you launch it.
How many hobby businesses have failed, period? Like, in a market that's burgeoning, that is constantly rewarding first movers, it's really hard to make a hobby business that fails.
Well, that's not a hobby business when it's NFTs. So
Well, let's also say like there might be a reason that someone doesn't feel like they've made it yet.
do you have a live look at how that's going?
No, that's just such low hanging fruit.
That's lowbrow. That's not this show.
That's not this show.
Let's not kick a dog while they're down.
Yeah. All right. Cards and Candy 911, the great, had a question. How do cards hold up during a war?
Oof.
Oh, that's a great question.
I mean, dude, first of all, like, that stuff is actually for real, and it's very, very sad. And, actual condolences, not sarcastic ones, actual condolences to the, families and people in Ukraine and Russia. That stuff is, like, not a joke. I've seen, like, footage of stuff and Instagram lives of people that live there, and it's really scary, man. Like, I can't believe in the year 2022, we actually have people that still think war is a good idea. What an unbelievably inefficient way to treat humanity than going to war. That is so 1900. Like, it makes no sense to me. Anyways, I don't know. The card question on that front is kind of like really puts it into perspective a little bit. Like, are we really going to try to like profit off of a war or potentially like sell? I'm not even gonna like broach that topic. It's separate, just if you like cards, continue to do it, and obviously like, do what you can to, get as involved as you like with the topics of like the war in Ukraine and Russia, but like just completely separate it from the hobby.
Yeah, but I agree with all that. But if there are financial or market-related ramifications to geopolitical conflict, like it's kind of fair game. It doesn't mean we have to have an opinion on the war, but we can think about how macroeconomic consequences can impact the hobby. And I was thinking about that. And I made a few posts a day or two ago about research that had been done in the wake of the financial crisis that related to how the sports industry fares during recessionary times.
Right.
And it's a mixed bag. There was a lot of researchers in the mid-2010s who started producing research that suggested that nothing is recession-proof. So let's just stop that idea. Like sports are not recession-proof, entertainment is not recession-proof. But there were other findings too that suggested that, well, actually sports kind of are recession-proof. Major League Baseball, for example, over the period of the financial crisis, saw an increase in ticket sales. An increase. More people left their homes to go to baseball games over the period of the financial crisis than were doing before the financial crisis. And some of the obvious explanations for this are sports are escapism, and sports help people sort of take their mind off of the harsh realities of the world. Sports are an outlet for venting frustrations and channeling primal urges. So there is something to be said about sports and
our distractions.
Distraction, absolutely. There's something to be said for sports and entertainment industries actually doing well during a recession. I don't think that's an unfair point of view or a baseless point of view. I think that there's something to that. And so how will cards hold up during that type of situation? I mean, look, there's two sides to that coin. One side is like, wow, I could have cash and feel more secure and be able to turn that into necessities that I might need. And that sort of mindset can apply even to people who don't even need the cash, but they just feel a psychological compulsion to tighten the belt and make things leaner and get liquid. So that's certainly a point of view that could apply in a bear economic market. But the other point of view is that, but in a bull economic market, competing alternatives like crypto, NFTs, stock market, when everything's doing well, there's a lot of these competing alternatives that say, why should I buy cards when I can get better or more high risk, high reward returns in these other spaces? And then there's also, I can also do something safer than cards too. Like the opportunity cost of your money in a universally bull market is very high. But in a bear market, the opportunity cost is very low. There's very few things that are doing well financially. But there is reason to think that things that are related to sports and entertainment, and I would put cards into that category, there's reason to think that those things will have an intensified demand from people who are looking for escapism, looking for distractions, looking for hobbies to lose themselves in. In fact, I would say that's probably part of the explanation for why the pandemic saw such a boom in hobby time. So, like, I think it's a mixed bag. What's your take? How do you think, to take the war out of it, but like, how do you think a down worldwide economic depression or depressed sentiment, how do you think that impacts the market for cards?
I mean, mostly what you said. The only other thought that I had that you didn't cover was like the collectibles space provides a unique distinction from the other things where, like, in the stock market, anyone can buy most of these stocks. So, like, you know, the desire to like sell that off first and have cash to be able to buy things that you more readily need versus want. Whereas in collectible spaces, you're talking about things that are actually like very scarce and rare. And there will always be someone, even in a total bear market, that can't afford to buy that thing. And if you control the market of something because it's so rare, because it's 1 of 1 or it's out of 10, there's always going to be some sort of market for something like that. That's the only distinction between like a collectible and a stock in a bear market, is that you can control the price a little bit more when things are bearish on really rare items, and cards fall into that category.
Yeah. Yep. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. We were on Clubhouse today. A couple of us were talking about what the card ladder 50, the CL50 index, did during the financial crisis, and it was flat. I mean, it went at one point in early 2008, it was up about 20%. In 2009, for a period of time, it went down 10%. Otherwise, it was just flat. But that was a very different time. Cards, the value of those cards was 1/20th of the value of what they are today, quite literally, and it wasn't seen as such a market, right?
Yeah, it's harder to track the fluctuations of it when it wasn't really necessarily seen as something that had fluctuation in value. It was more of just like a hobby collectible.
Yeah. We have so many questions. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go here?
Just keep going. I don't know. Just pick like your favorites. I don't know.
All right. There's a lot of great questions. All right. California.
Pick ones where it's like pick the questions where you if you woke up tomorrow and we didn't touch on it, you'd be upset.
Okay, good. Well, this is one of them. California Card Collector says, please comment on the divergence between the high end versus the low and the mid end. If new people in the hobby start at the lower mid end, isn't this an issue in growing the hobby? People are going to have a much harder time leveling up if the initial cards they start with are all going down. What do you think about that?
It's a great point, right? It's like reducing the pool of potential buyers if you can only buy stuff that's going to go down, or you can only afford stuff that's going down. I don't know. It's a problem. I'm not sure like the solution, or I'm not. You kind of answered the question in the question. I don't know, man. I don't have anything. I don't have any crystal ball to be able to help with something like that. I would say that like there's always still potential of things like that are still untapped. There's still plenty of areas that like, you know, haven't seen a spike in value that will in the future. So like you should never just give up and assume that all the stuff that's high prices, out of your reach and you'll never find something like that. I would say there's always opportunity, but other than that, it is definitely a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is a problem, but the high end, the low end, and the mid range are not monolithic. So anybody who bought, 2003 Topps Chrome LeBron Refractor PSA 10 8 months ago, or the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan PSA 10 8 months ago, if you bought those two cards, you've lost $500,000 since 8 months ago. But there's plenty of other sectors or categories of high end that have done really well. So much so that they've overwhelmed the handful of bad selections that people made in the high end. With mid and low, it's the reverse. There's lots of mid range and low end cards that are coming down, but there's still some that are going up. There's certainly still some that are going up. Cooper Cup's cards, right? His Prism Gold in the last 2 years for BGS 9.5 went from $200 to $3,000. We can find examples. We can find examples of stuff in every range that does well. So, not to take away, it is an issue, right? That like the mid and the low end aren't doing so hot, especially the most visible cards, the base PSA 10 stuff. That's not. It'd be great if just somebody could buy a Zion Prism based PSA 10 for $100 today, and it'd be $300 next time. But because one of the reasons it can't be that easy is because there's lots of people out there trying to play this market. And if they think that card has the potential to go up, they're going to try and sell and undercut before it can go up. And the supply is just so voluminous that we have some problems right now. We don't have a big enough base of collectors to support 20,000 Zion Prism-based PSA 10s. We just don't.
Right.
We don't have a big enough hobby. But what about this world? What about the world where Fanatics comes in and grows the number of participants, maybe not the size of the market cap, but they grow the number of the participants by 5x. Those people are all going to start with your Prism base and your Prism Silvers and your 86 Fleers and your 2003 Topps Chromes. That's where they're going to start. Just like they did when we had that boom in early 2021. They're not going to start with Prism Golds, and they're not going to start with NTRPA. Well, maybe they'll start with NTRPAs, but they're going to go with the most iconic cards.
Yeah, that stuff is getting beat up so much that it's it might start to be interesting.
Yeah.
You might want to consider buying it again, like to your point.
Well, look, the stuff that's booming right now is the stuff that people have pivoted into because they weren't getting the returns they wanted on the 86 Fleer type of stuff. So now they're doing NT Hollow Golds and Flawless out of 25 and, kabooms, right. They've pivoted into something else. So those guys, so now the stuff that's booming is the stuff that you would expect to boom when the bulk of the market is contracting. But if and when we get to a period where the size of participants rapidly expands like it did about a year ago, when we get to that period, the stuff that's going to boom is that same stuff all over again. The most iconic, most easily discovered cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't they start with Fanatics cards, says the great Adam Rips, whatever those are. Yeah, Fanatics is making the first ever Fanatics release has already come out, hasn't it? It's Topps. It's Topps series, whatever. Fanatics cards are already coming out.
I mean, dude, a savvy, experienced person's probably looking ahead towards Fanatics and thinking, what are they going to do? What potential, remakes are they going to have? What's, the originals of what they're doing? What interests are going to change based on what they release? I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff coming forward.
Yeah, and so Chase Rhymes was asking me today, he goes, how much do you think the Fanatics takeover is baked into prices? And I said, very, very little. I said, we in the hobby always are baking everything into every price. Everything's sort of inflated as a general rule. But, dude, when people start thinking about Fanatics, we don't know if, if people are baking in Fanatics, they're not going to be pivoting to Prism Golds the way that they are right now. Because the way things look right now, Panini isn't going to be making basketball cards in 3 years. People will be pivoting to Topps Chrome Golds because we will know that there will be Topps Chrome basketball, or there's a very good chance to think that there will be Topps Chrome basketball. And what's the engine that's driving the Prism Gold and the NTRPA machine right now? It's the fact that these products are constantly coming out. And it's what breakers are constantly opening, and it's what's fresh in our minds. The same way when the media is constantly hyping one player, that player's fresh in our minds, we go buy their cards. When the industry is constantly hyping certain products because they're coming out and we click on Instagram and this breaker's opening this, those products are fresh in our minds. When Panini is done, those products will have to stand on their own legacy. They won't have the constant marketing machine promoting them. So to Josh's point about like what are savvy people thinking about, they're going to be thinking about, well, I know there's going to be Topps Chrome basketball, and that's going to gin up a whole bunch of nostalgia when when that marketing machine of Fanatics is promoting new Topps Chrome basketball. And guess what? Topps Chrome basketball is not doing well right now. The Kobe refractor has crashed. 03, Topps Chrome LeBron PSA 10 has crashed. That stuff is not doing well right now. So is Fanatics baked in? No, because if it was baked in, people would be making moves just like you just said. They would be going and messing with those iconic Topps Chrome cards because there's a very good chance that brand's going to be making basketball.
Dude, the Topps Chrome LeBron stuff that I've been buying recently is like the same as when I was buying it a year ago. Like the card ladder estimated value thing is like doesn't know what to do with it. It's like all LeBron stuff is up and all basketball is up from a year ago, except Topps Chrome basketball is like flat. So it just is like breaking on those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Ryan Bitter said, I thought Wharf Sports Cards had a great post asking collectors if they have a preference of either rare apparel inserts or rookie cards. So kind of what we're talking about right now. So let me show Wharf's poll here. Or his post, I mean.
And kind of what we were talking about earlier with like the green PMG versus rookie cards.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the post. He's posting about the $2 million Kobe PMG green, and then he's showing some card ladder data. He's showing that a PMG red MJ BGS 85 is worth almost 2x. Jordan Clear PSA 10, the Kobe PMG red is worth slightly more than his refractor PSA 10, and a Shaq PMG red is worth more than his Beam Team Members Only PSA 10, nearly 2x. And the question that Warp has for us is, with the recent record 2 million Kobe sale, do you prefer a player's best or better rookie cards, or their more rare non-rookie cards?
Yeah, so dude, this is like the perfect example of a massively gray area response to this question where like the rookie cards of Jordan and Jordan and Kobe span like vastly different eras of cards. Like they're not even possible to relate to each other. 86 Fleer versus 97 PMGs, totally different like universes. There's no point in even trying to compare it. Whereas if you compare cards from Luka's rookie year to the current cards today, they're basically the same. Like the options are the same, the sets are the same, so you might as well pick the rookie. Like if everything else is the same, pick the rookie. Whereas Jordan's rookie versus his PMG, like dude, it's so fucking different that like, how are we even trying to compare them? Like, I would rather have the PMG because I only have one fucking choice, and it's the stupid Fleer.
That's such a good point. So, like, if Jordan had a rookie year PMG red.
Of course. Like, it's fucking, of course. You already know the answer to this question. You'd much rather have the rookie. It's like, it's just like the variables that you introduce to this, whereas the only difference is that it's rookie and non-rookie. Of course, I want the rookie. But if the variable is like one card fucking is million billion overprint and one is like the most iconic card of all time, it's like the variables are just like thrown out of whack.
Yeah. Such a good point. I don't want to even go anywhere else with that.
Like the Luka Prism Gold from this year or the rookie? Which would you rather have, Chris?
Right. Obviously the rookie. And so that may be why it's tough for collectors of modern cards to apply their logic to players who, like who have the Jordan thing where, dude, there were 0 pack issued NBA licensed cards during Michael Jordan's rookie year, his true rookie season. 0. You have the Star, which came in team bags. Like,
dude, I was just going to say, like, I'm a Michael Jordan rookie collector. The person's like, you collect 2 cards? Like, what?
Right.
You're not a collector. You just like have those two cards. Like I don't.
Yep.
You can't be a Michael Jordan rookie collector. You can be a Michael Jordan 90s collector, and that's a fucking endless, vast sea of, like, you know, you being poor, but rookie collecting, no.
Yeah. Yep.
It's obviously, like, the extreme is Jordan and Kobe. But even, like, you know, vintage guys, like, if you collect Bill Russell. Like, I rookie collect Russell. Okay, I've got his one card, but he has, like, a ton of exquisite stuff. Really low numbered, very interesting stuff that like a lot of collectors would be jazzed to try and dive into to collect Bill Russell. But his rookie stuff is just, you know, it's got the one card. That's the way it is.
Yep. Cardinal Sports Card says, this is the question I'm least qualified to answer. What are the best ways to stop yourself when you're about to make an unnecessary and impulsive major card purchase?
All right. I'm going to answer this one, and you two can't respond. No, I don't know, man. Like,
I go to
you know.
Josh. That's what I usually do.
Yeah, she does.
I send the picture
That's real.
to Josh.
Consult your more stable friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like asking an addict, you know, how do I stop this thing, this, like, you know, how do I stop smoking cigarettes? It's like, I don't know, just stop. You know, I don't know what to say to that. Just don't do it. It's really hard to, like,
it's one of those,
put yourself in the mind.
If you have to ask, you'll never know. It's one of those.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually have, like, one little tiny concrete thing, and it's like, I usually do this for myself. It's like, just sleep on it for one night. Because, like, generally, you're not going to lose the deal. Like, if you're like, hey, let me think about it tonight and I'll get back to you in the morning, that person's not going to be like, you know, fuck you, decide right now. They usually, like, are okay with that. So if you can take that path, take that one. And then if you wake up in the morning and you're still jazzed about it, buy it. And if not, you know, you did the right thing or whatever.
Yeah. Carvin says just ask your wife.
Ooh, don't do that.
Drake's PC says, is the global appeal of a sport or the global appeal of the collector base of a sport, is that idea, the global appeal, is it overrated when it comes to cards? Is it underrated when it comes to cards?
Well, let me ask you this. How many ping pong cards do you own?
Well, actually, no, none.
Because I think table tennis is like the third most popular sport worldwide. How many cricket cards do you own? Answer me that. I don't know. It's, you know, it's rated properly. Like soccer and basketball are, you know, globally important cards, and they have value. You know, whatever. It's again another gray area thing.
Yeah. It's also super context dependent. Like NFL doesn't have. NFL does, like, the narrative is that the NFL doesn't have the same international appeal, but more people internationally watch the Super Bowl than any basketball game. I don't know.
Yeah, they're pretty popular. Like Europe really likes NFL. Obviously, like we have games over there every year, and fucking those stadiums sell out. So,
dude, we've pumped the ping pong markets. We've pumped the Rajon Rondo markets.
That's Luke. Hi, Luke.
you want to know why? Like the real reason ping pong and cricket don't have markets, because there's no cards. I've tried. I've looked. There's no cards.
Isn't that like one of the most important factors in whether or not a market can do well? Is, are there cool cards of it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, are there cards at all? And then yes, are there? Like, the tennis cards are horrible. Like, I know people want to make Federer and Serena cards a thing. They're rookie cards, or they're not even rookie cards. Like, the selection is so bad. It's like a joke. Like, the companies that made them are basically like, you know, SI for kids type level of quality. It's like, what is this garbage?
Yeah. So some people get very upset when, like, a Joe Burrow rookie flawless 1/1 sells for a few $100,000, and they're like, man, this Jordan 86 Fleer PSA 10 is worth a few $100,000. How does this make sense? Dude, that Joe, if Michael Jordan had a rookie flawless 1-of-1, it would be worth $80 million. So you can't compare the 1-of-1 from one of the 3 best products, maybe the best patch product, not in my opinion, but in others' opinions. You can't compare the 1-of-1 from that product to a mass-produced, tens of thousands of copies, semi-low pop, 86 Fleer PSA 10 Jordan. You can't compare it. Because if Jordan had the equivalent, if Jordan had the flawless, Logo Man 1-of-1 from his rookie year, it's just not comparable. And
dude,
that goes to that point of having cool cards, right? If a product or a player has cool cards, the coolness of the card adds a lot of value and makes that market a lot more interesting.
I got a hot take for you.
All right.
I think a big reason that the Jordan PMG Green is so expensive and so popular is that he doesn't have the rookie card to compete with it. If Jordan had a gold PMG rookie 1-of-1, the green PMG 17th year, it would be like, what? I don't give a fuck about that. I want the rookie, You know what I mean? Like, it's all about, like, this is the best I can do.
I couldn't fucking agree with that anymore.
It's like the fucking 18th year Kobe gold Kaboom. Yeah, he doesn't have a rookie gold Kaboom that I can really sink my teeth into, so I gotta, I'll take the first year gold Kaboom instead.
Yes, that's exactly right.
But Luka, it's very different for these young guys. Luka,
so different.
Like, dude, I would just, I'm gonna spend all the money on the rookie, and the other ones, yeah, sure, his non-rookie gold prisms are worth a lot, but they're not even close to the rookie. Not even close.
And they exist for the people who can't afford the rookie. That's who they're there for. If you really want Prism Gold of one of these young guys, and you can't afford the rookie, there's a second year, a third year, a fourth year waiting for you. For Jordan, that's not the case. It's not like the PMG Red is so expensive, because there's this super gigantic expensive rookie version of it. No, that's the best version of it. That's the first PMG of Jordan.
Yep. Dude, we're almost 3 hours into the show, rambling, our gums are flapping up and down. We got 80 people on here. I've been watching lives this week with incredible platforms of content where there's 20 people on the live. So step up your content games, people.
Somehow we got a second wind. The content was cooling off partial way through hour 2.
Might be pound for pound. This might be the best episode we've ever had because we've just been hitting these monster topics, huge hot takes, black and white, gray. It's just got everything.
Dude, the questions were great, and you and Christina look amazing when I fire off a lot of crazy takes.
You've said some crazy shit tonight. Tonight's the Chris crazy.
Sometimes it's in that lane. Sometimes
you should be. This is you tonight. You're just pow pow pow, just shooting from the hip.
Okay, shout out Investicard Eddie, who says there's great content going on in Atlanta. Well, speaking of that, we got a question from Trading Card Brothers, who says, what's more important at a show, people skills or deep knowledge of a product and sport?
Knowledge.
Dude, don't underestimate people skills at these shows. I've seen some very poor people skills.
From dealers as well as collectors.
One of the questions we got was why are dealers so damn grumpy?
Yeah, we'll do that one next.
There's nothing to talk about. That's part of the social etiquette of a lot of it's just people that have seen a lot of these shows and they're just they've seen everything and whatever, they're just over it, so they're just grumpy.
They're grumpy
I don't know.
because they have really nice cards that they're trying to sell to make a living, and they can't just keep them, so they're grumpy.
I don't know. Vintage baseball collecting would make me grumpy.
Or just getting lowballed all day long, you know?
Yeah, of course. For years.
Everyone wants to be highballed instead, right?
You, sir, have the best collection I've ever seen. I'd like to pay you more than market value for all of these cards. That never happens. I'm just genuinely impressed by everything you have here, sir. I'd like to buy you out. And I'd like to fund your next yacht.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to hear comments on YouTube about that segment. What do you mean you don't want a yacht? That's what you're supposed to do when you have $1 million. You buy a yacht.
That's the most ridiculously spelled word ever. It's spelled like yacht.
Yes. Also,
You're not going to want to touch that one.
no. Also, I've been having a really hard time buying nice cards lately because sellers want crazy prices for them. And so I just wait for them to go to auction and hope that they go to auction on a site with reasonable bidding policies.
And like the ability to like pay for the item without having to upload the money before you bid.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like OBO 10K, recent comps 1,000. And it's like, dude. Well, they're like, and then they're like, well, you can't get this card anywhere else. Yes, I guess that's why I'm talking to you right now, because you're the only one that has it. But fuck, sell it for a normal price.
Yep. Dude, people want a lot of money for their cards, and that's why I'm buying other stuff, man. Like, I'm actually like not collecting my PC players because prying these cards out has become the wrong combination of too expensive and too difficult.
You're saying that Le'Veon Bell people are like actively trying to dump it on you.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
Exactly. Like, look, I've also been an advocate forever for overpaying for grails, but like, damn, even I've got a limit.
I don't know. Do you? 30K or whatever you posted?
Oh, well, for that card,
That's a 1-on-1 though.
dude, I've stared at my fake 1-of-1 McCaffrey.
Oh my god. It's been on the desk like all fucking week, Josh. Like literally propped up against the screen. And like,
I mean,
sometimes I'll look over to ask him a question and he's literally just staring at it. Like not even looking at his computer, just like staring at this card. And I'm starting to get jealous.
I think one of the reasons like the three of us are such close friends is that like we're the only three weirdos on the planet that are like just want to stare at a card all day long, and we're like, doesn't even make sense. In a vacuum, it makes no sense. Like I showed that Topps Chrome X-Fractor. I've been looking at that card all day long, and it doesn't make any sense. Like it makes no sense.
I think it makes perfect sense.
Of course, exactly. To the three of us, it makes sense. I'm just saying, like, my wife sees me looking at it, and she's like, I don't understand anything of what's happening.
Well, dude, sports cards have perfected a system that we constantly want but can't create. Remember Beanie Babies, Starbucks mugs, NFTs. There's been so many attempts to build this perfect system that like that's driven by consensus and genuine positive sentiments, that has a market that properly responds to supply and demand, that has properly tiered brands, that's tied to something dynamic in the real world, which is sports. Like cards has perfected the dynamics of a market that there's almost seems to be a natural human inclination towards. It's the perfect collectibles market. It's just perfect. And so when you get that card that just strikes all the right notes for you and symbolize, and like that card is physically beautiful, but it's so much more. It symbolizes things, it symbolizes success, it symbolizes the peak of something, it symbolizes the pursuit of something, it satisfies all those psychological collector's urges. That's there. It's it's there's just intellectual satisfaction to that it's impossible to understand unless you understand all the nuances and the foundational pieces that go into the market in the first place.
I have a friend who I'm like trying to get into the industry through a job, but he doesn't know cards at all. He doesn't get it. And if I showed him my stuff, he'd be like, I don't get it. It's like, what? It's like shiny or something? It's like, it's a 9? Is that why you like it? And I'm like, God damn it, I can't explain this to you because it's just too many, like you said, you hit on a lot of them, but like, the work it took me to get the card, the year in which it was released, and like my nostalgia towards LeBron at that time of his career, his athleticism, the dunk that he's doing in the photo. It's just, there's just so many things that like, you just can't explain it to someone who doesn't get it.
I mean, Josh, you were obviously showing him the 2020 Prism, right?
The 2019 Prism where he's fucking just standing there. Yeah, that's the one.
Dude, the same the same foil and stuff that's like used on cards is used on freaking birthday greetings. Like it's not that, it's not that.
Yeah. Way to make me feel like an idiot. Great, I'm just staring at birthday cards all day long.
It has to be more than that, but that's the equivalent of saying like the Mona Lisa was just painted with oil paintings, right? Like
right.
Oil paints. I mean, like there's something more to it. It's not about the materials or the substance. It's about what it represents when it's organized in this fashion and the system that it belongs to. And the consensus, and there's two ways to compel behavior. There's force and there's consensus. And there's some things that force is used to make sure that they go a certain way. Like currency, the U.S. dollar is backed by the government and by the fact that it's legal tender that's enforced in certain settings. Like in a courtroom when you have to pay your fines, you can't pay it in cardboard. You have to pay it in legal tender. That's a way of using force to mandate something. The other way of achieving human organization is by consensus. And consensus has always been the preferred method of obedience, whether it's political theorists discussing this, the organization of government, or whether it's something as simple as a market. A market driven by consensus is the type of market that is preferred. Cards, all we have is consensus. Sometimes like people make statements like cards are just a bunch of made up values and we all just buy into them and believe them. It's all make believe. It is all make believe. Without a doubt, it's make believe. But that's actually very important. The buy-in that we as a community, the things that we agree on consensus-wise, that stuff really matters. The fact that that consensus drives and organizes this market is the engine of this market. But the consensus isn't arbitrary. The consensus is because all these fundamentals are in place. The consensus is because it is tied to sports. So there's some level of objectivity to it. We don't just get to make up who the best players are and who the best athletes are. The history of sports, the performance of athletics sets that hierarchy. And then maybe we could argue about it at the margins. The aesthetic appeal of cards is more subjective, but still it's something that you can't really deny. And then the collector impulse to want to have a market organized around things we actually like and understand. I should just stop there.
You did.
Yeah.
I was peeing and I was like, this guy's going to town right now. This is good stuff.
No, it's like Sal said. He's like, Chris, do you want to do my 8-page paper? Oh, on international relations? How about
Well, let me ask you this. You're on a roll, so I'm gonna feed you this little alley-oop, and you just go ahead and dunk it if you would like. Based on what you're saying, where we're basically we're creating value about something that's not intrinsically, it's just shiny cardboard, right? Like you're simplifying it, but you're also providing some reasoning. Don't get mad. take this for the face value of what I, like based on what we're talking about, you have all the context. Why are sports cards better than NFTs?
Oh, why are they better than NFTs?
Given that like the value around NFTs could be explained in the same manner that you just explained sports cards, what's the difference?
Because NFTs are dumb. That's why. Because I don't like them. Yeah. Oh, just to address South real quick here, dude. All that BS I was talking about earlier in the show about, the power of the irrational thinking. That's not me coming up with that stuff. There's an entire generation of political theory that revolves around irrational thinking as being the motive that changes what otherwise would be a predetermined course of history. So, like, I need to bust out my notes from college, but there's some great thinking that went on because like it's an open question in society. Given that so many things seem causally predetermined, how do you ever change anything? How do you make a revolution? And like this is a very topical question for Eastern European relations. How do you make a revolution? How do you like change something that seems so inertia driven and fixed? And the way that you do it is by going away from what's rational and you lean into the irrational. So I'm applying like profound political theory to sports cards. And not surprisingly, almost nobody liked it.
KPB in the chat. I have to do this. That's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
Wow.
We need to start giving you some one-liners from The Rock. Let's play into this. I'll be Stone Cold. I'm going to keep the Stone Cold thing going.
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking? The people's elbow.
The people's elbow. And you got the eyebrow. You know about all that Rock stuff, right? Yeah, the eyebrow. If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
You want me to do that one?
I do, yeah. You got an eyebrow, and you got to say, if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Doesn't he like make a big thing? I'm like, can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
He like takes his sunglasses off, and he's like, dude, those guys will really get into it, man.
Yeah.
And Stone Cold takes 2 beers, and he like hits them together, or he cracks them, hits them together, and half the beer falls out, and then he chugs them. Like a third of the beer actually gets into his mouth.
Well, you shouldn't have too much beer, right?
And then he's like flipping people off. I mean, it's pretty like, if you actually like, I bet you, Chris, if you actually went back and like watched some of like the iconic WrestleManias and stuff, you'd be like, yeah, I get it. It's pretty entertaining.
Oh, I'm sure I would. And plus, like all things, you need to have a foundation in it and a basis to understand it, Like all things. I guess that goes back to your question about NFTs versus cards. And cards have a history and a foundation and a nostalgic basis, and NFTs just don't for any of us. Maybe they will in the future if they can prop them up for long enough, but look, cards didn't come about. That's the other thing. Like, let's bring in all the social science mainstream theories. Here's another one: path dependence. Path dependence is the idea that we do things in a certain way just because we used to do them in that way. That there's no rational reason to do it. Like the great example of path dependence is like a guy. Once upon a time had to take a very zigzaggy route to work because the main route was under construction. But even once the main route was finished and the construction was finished, the guy still takes the zigzaggy route because that's the way he knows how to do it. He forgot about the main route. He takes the zigzaggy route even though it takes longer. Path dependence. Path dependence. It's an important concept. Cards came to be that cards were not manufactured originally with the idea that there will be Prism Black 1-of-1s in this market that's, then there will be Prism Golds and we'll all collect them and there will be manufactured scarcity. Cards were fillers in a tobacco product. They were flyers. They were marketing materials. It took decades and decades of organic development and many layers of path dependence for us to finally arrive at the point that we are at today where, we have these tiers and systems and structures of product. That's how we got to cards. Cards, somebody didn't just think it out of thin air. A lot of accidents of history had to happen in order for us to get to the point that we're at today, where we are. Many accidents had to happen for that to take place.
You sound like a guy that reads a lot of books.
Not anymore. I haven't read a book in years. The last time I read a book was for law school, actually. And I feel my brain degenerating as the months roll by.
Yeah, looking at pending sales will do that.
Yeah. Yes, it will. I used to have a much better grip on this stuff than I do now.
You said a lot of stuff. What should I buy next?
Duh, an
Can you
NFT.
boil it down for me? I just want the 10-minute, I want the fancy intro to the video.
I got one for you, Josh. You should buy
Okay.
a video, a short video clip
Here we
of
go.
someone you don't know opening a product that you did not give them for someone else that you also don't know, and them hitting a card of a player you don't know.
There you go. Hey, since we're really, really just in the throes of hour 3, Christina, can you give me a pair of scissors out of there?
You're gonna get in so much trouble for this.
We're
Well, if I theoretically did want to buy what you just said, there's plenty of available options because I don't think anyone bought any of those.
Yep, you can sweep the floor. Okay. You know who this is?
Are you about to be card killer?
Yeah.
This is the logo, Jerry West. And I'm not pleased with the hard time that he gave Adam Lefkoe.
Dude, he was really mean. I'm not it was kind of funny, but also what the fuck, dude? He was super mean.
Adam Lefkoe, you don't know anything. Your partner.
If I was Adam, after the third time, I'd be if I were Adam, I'd be like, what? Shut the fuck up, old man. Give me some goddamn respect. I'm on this fucking panel just the same as you, bro.
That's what we think. That's what we think about Jerry West after the way he mistreated one of our hot brethren.
I wouldn't treat any human that way, let alone someone who's in the industry with me, who's on the same level of me as the drafter of the top 75 thing. Guess what? I'm in this room too, bitch. I also earned my way into here.
Rude. And you know what? Lefkoe is pretty good at his own job as well. Better than you would be, Jerry. So that's what we're doing out here. We're shredding. We're shredding these Jerry West cards. It was not right. It was not right,
It was
Jerry.
mean. It was it was funny the third time, the first time, the second, the fourth. Come on, dude. It's not funny anymore.
What did Lefkoe do to you? What did Lefkoe do to you?
Lefkoe must have eaten his last cookie or something right before they went on stage.
No, we're not going to cut a logo, man.
Someone must have farted in that dude's cereal that morning because he was just very ornery.
Someone peed in his Wheaties.
Campaign for Adam Lefkoe to be the new logo man, Carvin says.
It was he was trying to justify his own, importance as a former NBA player by putting down someone who's not a former NBA player in the same room of NBA players. What? Dude, you treat people like that in the normal social settings? That's ridiculous. Not everyone's an NBA player. Yeah, great. Okay.
Maybe now we know why he got his lifetime seats taken away from Staples Center.
Or I was going to go a different direction with it. I was going to say he should know how it feels to be unfairly treated in the recent past.
Maybe people at the center like that, and they were like, yeah, we're not going to continue to give you these.
Here's another hot take for you. You know what, Jerry? I think we should change the logo of the NBA to Kobe Bryant.
Nope, can't get behind that one.
From Jerry West. That's how That's how rude he was. Like, I'm
I know.
willing to change it to Kobe.
I know. So just change it to Jordan, and it's fine.
Yeah, it can't be Kobe, guys. Like I
don't know.
I hate to bring up a certain letter where he apologized, but he literally said, "I can see how she thinks it wasn't consent." So she therefore he cannot be the logo man, guys.
Christine.
Well, Jordan's silhouette, like MJ himself would be like, nope, you're gonna have to pay me like $1 trillion to use my silhouette in the logo. He would just be so fucking like protective of that. So that one's out.
MJ's the one guy who's like, nah, you can't afford my logo for literally the logo of the entire sport.
Exactly. Okay, so they don't use the Jumpman logo, so then they use like him dribbling, and then it's, you know, it's just not as, it's just a little bit like, you know, what's the point? Just pick any player at that point.
Yeah, I guess you go with Kobe then or something. I don't know.
Can't go with Kobe.
You know what? I will jump on this grenade. Let's do LeBron. It's fine with me. I'll let it, you know, I'm okay with it, guys. I say it's okay. Oh.
I guess we have no choice but to agree with it after what we've just discussed here. So
after watching Jerry like belittle a man on TV multiple times.
Not a fan, Jerry.
What if you were Adam? Would you have been like? Would you have like gone at him?
No. What can you do, Ben? All you can do is just humble yourself.
So you can do a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true. But like, dude, all you can do is just humble yourself, in my opinion, and just roll with the punches, man. You're the young buck. You're paying your dues. They're ribbing you. They're giving you a hard time. You just have to roll with it, I think.
I think Adam handled himself very well.
I think so too. Or else, what happens is then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy thinks he's on the same level as Jerry West, or this guy now it's even, look. In sports, it's always the guy who retaliates who gets caught. It's always the guy who retaliates who gets in trouble, right? So just don't.
The flag.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you could have chest bumped him or something. Like, well, Jerry.
I mean, what else can you do? Like Adam, made it clear that he didn't agree with the take, but he was just like, "Oh, thanks, Jerry."
Could have DDT'd him or Stone Cold. I don't know Stone Cold's move, but if I did, he'd do that. Stone Cold Stunner, I think is what it is. He'd do that to him.
Introduce him to the people's elbow.
Yeah. Yeah, just give him a little.
South says Adam with one punch could have risen the Jerry West market over 50%.
The price is wrong, Jerry. That's wrong.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Price is wrong, bitch.
This is why Josh and I are friends.
Chris is like, Happy Gilmore, is that the hockey movie? Oh my god.
I heard Eric, I'm going to give Eric Myers a nod on a quote that he had. He said, athletes profit off of us while they're alive, and then we profit off of them when they're dead. What do you think about that quote?
Who said that?
Eric, the one and only Eric Myers.
Mr. Babe Ruth Baseballs.
That's him.
I profit off guys that are very much alive.
Right. That too. But I don't know. South's comment made me think of that. All right. Green Eye Sports 24 said, can you describe the exact moment in time when you knew that card collecting, or can you describe the exact moment in time when you thought that card collecting for life for you? Card collecting is for life for you.
Is the world ready for hour 4? I think I'm like, this is too much. I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, I don't know, Chris.
I just tried to read a sentence and it took 4 tries and it still didn't come out right.
It's like hour 4 is like, we're basically talking about like The Simpsons mixed with Family Guy and like who eats the best pizza on the, it's like, it doesn't make any sense.
There's so many good questions that we didn't get to. Here, how about I just read the questions, we don't answer them?
That's going to be really hard, but I'll try.
Are Panini product delays hurting new rookies or helping build anticipation from the pack profits?
Yes.
Carrot top cards Any tips for a new collector going to their first card show?
Download Card Ladder.
Landon's B cards. What is the one thing that could cripple the hobby from an outsider's perspective?
Oh, fraud. Like illegal fraud stuff, yeah.
South Park Cards 2. Who is a current young star that no one will care about in 3 to 5 years?
Job.
John Morant. We were both ready with that one. Trae Young. Zion.
Big Chill Khalil. Do you think that whichever young star wins the championship first will become the face of the league?
No.
No.
NAS Productions. How and when did you guys realize Card Ladder was a project that you would go all in on?
As soon as Chris and Josh told me about it.
Yeah, right away.
MJ Collector 1 million. Does PSA use Card Ladder to determine declared value and appropriate service level price?
Yes, they do.
Cards and Candy, but don't hold against us. Cards and Candy 911. How do you deal with card show FOMO?
I go to card shows.
Cards and Candy 911. Let's talk about stamped one of ones versus handwritten one of ones.
Stamped.
Junk Wax.
Mr. Phony?
I fucking go with stamp too. Junk Wax breaks. There are a finite number of game used Hall of Fame jerseys. What do you think happens to game used cards when there are no more jerseys left? Although he is somewhat of an exception, you are already seeing a price explosion with Tom Brady's, probably due to availability. Brian Gray said they rarely come to market and have been expensive.
Not really a question.
Hawks and Habs PC says, when adding cards, has the Card Ladder team considered solely adding from the submission section to get them all in? Because there are some cards that have only a few votes, and so it seems like they'll never get in, but it may be an important player in someone's PC. Is this something that can be considered once you get your new researchers up to speed?
We
Yes.
solved that. You don't need it anymore.
Mad City Collector, do sports documentaries impact your desire to collect a player? If so, have any inspired your PC?
No.
I only collect players who are going to have a documentary one day.
Well, 626 Sports Cards. Would you want a card with stronger rarity or the same card with more popularity with less rarity? So, for example, a PSA 10 numbered to 75 or a PSA 9 numbered to 99, but that's more popular.
Obviously, the rarer the better.
Even if,
well, more popular.
How about this? How about a PSA 10, like Fast Break Prism numbered to 75, like of a random color, or the PSA 9 of the Blue Ice numbered to 99, which is more popular?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Blue Ice.
Blue Ice.
All right. Dillick Cards
That's Lucas Crush.
says, damn, we still have like 20 more. All right, this is the last one I'm reading.
Are you serious?
We didn't even get to the Christina questions.
Oh, all right, let's do the Christina questions. All right.
Oh, yes. Here's the rapid fire bonus round for the bonus 4 hour.
Rapid fire round
All right,
here.
let's go.
Cards and Candy 911. When will we see more Maxi Cleavers added to Christina's showcase? Answer, when she learns how to use the scanner.
That's true, actually. I don't know how to use the scanner.
Mad City Collector says, Christina, what would you do if a one-of-one Maxi Kaboom existed?
Oh, God help me.
Mostly 90s basketball cards. How many boxes of Don Russ is Christina ripping?
At least 2, which are already in the mail.
Card Insights 2. Final question for Christina. Is Christina's PC as awesome in real life as she appears to be online? If so, what do you like most about her? If not, what do you dislike most about her?
This isn't really a question for me. This is more of a question for you two.
Oh, it's a puff piece. You don't happen to know Card Insights, do you?
I do. I actually interviewed them.
Oh, and so maybe you sent in this question
I did not.
through a proxy?
There's one thing I've learned about when women trap you with questions like this. You always just take the high road and say, "Oh, I think you're amazing." Like no matter what it is.
You're saying we're like Adam Lefkoe right now.
All right. The 2 of you. Okay.
If my wife sends me a hypothetical picture of herself and she's like, "I look fat in this picture," I'm like, no matter what the picture looks like, I have to be like, "No, you look amazing." Yeah, of course. Take the high road.
Take the high road. So what do we like most about Christina? That's what the question says.
The fact that I sit here and fucking work on a Friday night while you two drink and fuck off and like talk about cards with all the people on fucking line.
Wait, I thought you said this question wasn't for you. Oh.
I'm gonna take next Friday night off.
I'm waiting for the time when she's like, you just like basically get drunk and talk shit about cards while I do all the work.
That's right. That's a great answer. Well, I don't know. How awesome do you appear to be online? It says, is Christina as awesome in real life as she appears online? What if she's even more awesome in real life than she appears online? What about that one?
Only you can answer that question, Chris. Come on, let's hear it.
I wish you guys could see how red Christina's face just turned.
What do you like most about her, Chris? Come on.
Oh man, what
Okay,
don't I like?
bye guys. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week on the crossover.
Here, you want to see how many questions we didn't get to?
Kinda.
Some of these I read.
Like for rapid fire, not for.
Because
Dude, what the crap?
I delete them after I read them.
After we answer them.
After we answer them.
Dude, some other content creators, they'll make a post and they'll get like 2 comments, and we get like fucking 500. We can't even get to them all. We're an hour 4.
Yeah, we are definitely getting to. We've well exceeded the critical mass of cards of questions that we can answer. So.
Damn it. I wanted to be in a world where I could answer every question. You know how I am with the DMs? Like, I gotta answer them all, but goddamn it.
I should not have shown you that.
No, because it's like, you just showed me like a giant checklist of unchecked boxes, and now I have to somehow go to sleep without checking those boxes. Dude, people literally, Christina joked about it. She's like, oh, someone sent you a DM, you have to respond. And I'm like, yeah. And like, definitely that happened this week. Like, we joked about it last week, but people are definitely, dude, someone
contacted Josh this week to tell me to answer my DM.
Oh, no.
Because they knew I have to do it.
Yeah.
And they're right. I also got, on Saturday morning last week, Landman, LeBron Collector, what's up, Francis? He sent me 2 voice messages, and knowing I had to click them, and then he was like, hey man, just, checking up, how's it going? He was obviously messing with me. Oh, I just wanted you to listen to this message, how's it going? I was like, you fucker. God damn it.
Oh, wow. All right. That's when battle lines are drawn.
So Cadence Cards and SeaKey are saying that like we need to do a midweek show where it's just rapid fire for anything we don't answer on Friday.
I mean, I obviously want to do that because I want to answer all the questions.
Nope. This is personal growth for Josh to leave questions unanswered.
You are not a therapist, sir. You don't get to decide that.
Or it's personal growth for you, and you do it my way.
There you go.
What's your way?
The personal growth isn't. My way is that you have to answer every team.
We have to answer.
Do you want to know how many open notifications I have in my email?
I would assume 0. You want to know how many I have?
Oh my god. You probably are one of those people that have like the red circle over the email icon that's like 6,404,
Ask him how many text messages he has that he hasn't opened yet.
How many do I have?
You have a lot.
Yeah, probably. All right. I'm putting my cards back in their bags. My mail day's over.
Wait, you're putting them back inside their what's the cases thing? The plastic pieces?
They go inside slab guards.
Yep, slab guards inside inside the sleeves, inside the slab guards, inside the. Yep. Oh my god. You can't even see like. It's like you can't even see the card. Like if it's shiny or versus a base, you can't tell the difference.
It's definitely dulled. The presentation is very dulled.
Dude, Stefan Wax says he has 44,000 emails. I quit. You guys run this company on your own. You build the tech. I'm out.
44,000 emails. You must feel very important.
It's all like,
That's your takeaway. That's your takeaway.
People announcing that they like have a merch.
Was that like a little brother? Did we just get a glimpse into like a little brother jab?
No. The jabs are much more pointed than that.
My brother and I always have those little jabs where I'm like, that's something I would have done to him. Oh, you must feel fucking important there.
All right. Can you guys leave the stream? Like, we still have 65 people on here. We usually don't end until the number goes to 50.
Well, let's get it back to 69 because that'd be dope. Shout out to Tyler Sports Guy. Every time that he sees something 69, he just posts nice.
Yep, just need about 9 more you guys to drop off. You hang up first. All right, fine. See you guys.
Card Ladder, the best sports card app on the market. The future of sports cards is here. Card Ladder is the 21st century price guide and market analysis tool for sports cards. The best tools to help you track your cards. Watch the trends, stay informed, compare cards, and track the growth of your personal collection, all in one simple and intuitive platform. Join the innovators, not the imitators. The future is here. The future is now. Card Ladder.